is that there's no challenge dice, so the weapons still do the same amount. I think. Actually, they might be one higher now. But they just do flat damage.
We still have challenge dice on the sheets, which is going to be fine.
Oh, so yeah, how I plan on handling that is you never roll. When we make your character, we're just going to put the total value, so you don't have to do any math. The number in the box. When I ask for damage, you tell me the number in the box.
Right. So, like I said, I've completely forgotten most things. Like I said, I've had to put this stuff to the back of my mind for a while.
Yeah. Well, don't worry. I wouldn't worry about it because even if you did remember it, it wouldn't be that way anymore.
Right.
Yeah,
All right.
no idea about anything seconded.
So,
yeah.
Excuse me a moment, but just saying hello to everyone out there. This is Electric Metropolis Video Game Tour. I'm AD Springer, also known as Corbinian, and we're doing a new series, of Star Trek Adventures. Except this time it's gonna be second edition, and I'm not running this time. It's gonna be in the capable hands of Winchester, who will be running things. So currently on our session 0.5 or so. I think we're going to be building and then maybe playing if we have enough time. So most of this is going to be some session 0 stuff. If you're wondering if we know what the hell we're talking about, we're looking at this for the first time, most of us. Some of us only seen the book recently. And this is the first time any of us have played it, I think. So we'll be learning along with us, frankly. Some of it's the same. Some first ed stuff's the same, but some stuff in second ed is remarkably different, as you're overhearing. Stuff like challenge dice aren't a thing anymore. But we'll get used to it. We'll figure it out. Yeah, I'll leave the floor otherwise to our game master, and I'll be playing, obviously, so I'll be here. Anyway, that's it for my intro at the moment.
So, ship's a great place to start. Most of it is finished and is kind of gonna be that way because that's kind of the game we've agreed to play, but there's a lot of stuff that y'all get to give input on and one or two things that we might need to negotiate out since the Archer isn't in second edition. The first thing is Utopia Planitia from first edition has the Archer is a scale 3 ship, but everything about the Archer is that it's a scout ship, it's the predecessor to the runabouts. It's too small to actually have a turbo lift system. Right, but it is not a shuttle by any means. So second edition gives an ability to handle this, allowing it to be scale 2 without using shuttle rules. And I think that's the way to go rather than I think that's more accurate than making it scale 3.
I like that.
So this happens on... Let me see if I can find the page.
Let me pull up my copy of the book too.
I need to get the book still.
Yeah,
I
didn't even know the one was out.
I also need to pull down my copy of the Game Master's kit, because the Game Master's kit also has like a few more space frames than...
One thing for creating characters I might point out is that the current SCA creator, the B. Combs guys, I should say, that they do have some that's 2E stuff in there. So if you can just
for character generation, plan to go through that. But for anything else, I would still like to be able to reference the book.
Yeah, I think it is missing some things. Because of how species talents work, but
Well, they have all the ones from the book, but they don't have anything beyond that because the book doesn't talk about beyond the books in core. Like it doesn't have.
Well, I mean, I don't think they call out the special the special rules for each species.
They do.
Do they? Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Oh, this is gonna.
Yeah, as of current recording, by the way,
oh, there it is.
The few of us that have it because of the when the book came out. Some of us have the PDF as a pre-order bonus. The PDFs aren't out yet, so it's gonna be a little harder. We kind of have to share our notes among ourselves.
Actually,
huh?
Oh,
yeah, the PDFs are out.
Yeah,
are they?
Today.
I know the PDFs are out because about 2 seconds before I joined, I Googled it because I didn't know what the release date was, and I was like, oh, it's $20 on DriveThruRPG. Okay.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
So, and I do apologize for being a bit late. The clock on my oven was wrong, and I thought it was an hour before it really was. My bad.
So one thing I will point out that this could actually be, very much in favor of supporting like this outlook on the Archer class being only scale 2. The game toolkit actually gives us stats for the Freedom class, which is what the USS Franklin was in the third Kelvin movie.
Yeah.
Sure.
And
okay.
it's listed in here as only being scale 2.
Yeah, so it probably has the trait compact vessel on it, right?
Compact size, yeah.
Yeah. So I gave the ship it's not really a talent, it's a special rule. I gave it compact vessel. That's the one that gives it scale 2, but it doesn't use the small craft rules. It also means that there are no shuttles. So I have noted in the launch bay you have 6 escape pods because just if you look at the ship, it has this obvious place to launch them from. But those have no real value as personnel transport unless you're about to die. The other thing I gave it is landing gear. So you do have a mechanically fleshed out way to land on a planet, how to do that, what that task is. All of those details are on 196. So the other thing I did was part of the story. This is going to be one of the very first Archers. It's not going to be the USS Archer, but
Archer.
It's going to be the first one built by the Anzac Orbital over Earth. So in that sense, it is a prototype for that star yard. So I gave it the service record special rule for prototype. On page 216, there are a bunch of them. The only one that really made sense was that this was either going to be a prototype or a survivor of the Klingon War. But the Klingon War ended like the same year this ship is supposed to have been built. Or the class is supposed to have been built. So I decided not to go with that. So what you get for being prototype is 2 refits. But ship's die is always going to crit on an 18, 19, or 20 instead of just a 20. And a milestone, if you spend a milestone to refit the ship, you can get rid of that complication range. So the rest of the ship's departments and systems have already been decided by the campaign, making it a prototype, not a prototype, Archer class with a patrol mission. But I guess the first thing for y'all to decide is you have 2 points to put into systems. Where do you want to put them?
Into systems.
I will note structure is much more important than it used to be. Let me get back to where it describes it so I give you the accurate answer to that. I know it directly increases the amount of shields you get.
Okay.
Could also be worth improving.
Your resistance is equal to half scale plus a bonus from your structure. So I don't actually think it's right on the sheet right now. On the sheet, it should be. I got to recalculate.
1.
Well, that's half scale, but then there's a chart which tells you based on how much structure you have, you should get these many extra points of resistance. So resistance is not just your ship is this big so it can take this much damage. It's your ship is this big and it's this strongly built.
I know, still just funny.
185 for the table you're looking for.
And I'm not going to get that PDF right now. That is over $30 for me.
Yep.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Modiphius isn't letting me check out, so yes, I'm not getting it either.
No, we don't want your money.
Yeah, you don't want my money.
We're an anti-business. We profit by not letting you make money.
Anti-business.
Okay.
Exclusive limited time offer.
So your ship structure is 6 or lower, which means you don't actually get any bonus to resistance. So your resistance is 1. You could put 1 of or both of the points into structure to get +1 to resistance and increase the amount of shields you have. But obviously y'all can put it in other places too.
I'd say definitely.
Putting it into weapons would also increase the amount of damage you do, because the same way that structure resistance is based off of how much structure you have. I think damage is also directly connected to your weapon score.
I do want to note the sheet also says we currently have 1 power.
Okay, because power doesn't work. Power is the most revamped thing of Starship management at all.
Okay.
You don't get like a pool of points of power. Instead, you have reserve power. When you need to do something that has a power requirement, you transfer reserve power to that. And if you need any more reserve power for the rest of the scene, the engineer has to do a task to
generate
pull that
reserve
from somewhere else. And that can come with complications.
Okay.
So yeah, you don't have a pool of points. Instead, you either have power in reserve or you don't. I would think of it closer to determination than like it used to work like kind of like a momentum almost, where you had like a pool that was spent.
All right.
Well,
now, does that mean that less tasks require power then?
I don't have a good answer to that yet.
Okay.
I haven't read it enough to really give a insightful answer on that. But I think it's enough to say right now that putting a point into structure or weapons or putting it into both is going to have positive effects on the amount of damage you can do and take. Putting it into any system is going to increase the amount of your chances of getting successes. But
yeah, if we put in looking at the weapons table 226, it's the same. It's a similar thing where it's like if it's 6 or lower, you get no bonus. If it's 7 to 8, you get a bonus to weapons. So right now, if we do a buff to our structure and weapons, we get the minimum bonus plus
the threshold.
1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see
I'm in
that.
favor of that then, yeah.
We're moving up from lightweight to middleweight as our weight class makes sense to me.
We're at the
I
very
think we're
bottom
moving up
of
from anemic
middleweight
to
now.
lightweight.
Yeah. Featherweight.
We are now lightweight, as opposed to featherweight.
Yeah.
Yes.
so I think that means now you have 2 resistance and your phaser banks do 4 damage.
So what you're saying is we're twice as strong as we were before.
That's one way to interpret that.
Oh, there are 3 D7s inbound. Open fire.
Well, a D7's only gonna be doing a lot more damage because I think D7s are made basically the D7 is basically invented the same year the Archer is, give or take 1 year. But whereas the Archer sacrifices structure and weapons for the other 4 systems, the D7 sacrifices things to get better weapons and structure, I think.
Right.
Makes sense.
Which means they're already hitting those higher brackets on the table, getting like +2, I think. Or they're at least 1 point away from doing +2 damage. And their scale is twice is what yours is, right? So yes, a D7 would be scary, not because it's Klingon alone, but because it's built for war and it's bigger, which I feel like is something you might not always get from looking at its stat sheet in first edition, but I think is something you'll feel looking at its stat sheet in second.
I'm hearing put everything into engines and we are the weapon now.
No.
Yeah.
No enemy speed of strat. What are you talking about? No.
Yeah.
I'll support it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely
protest this choice.
Don't think
I
of
mean,
this
I'm
as
sure
a
that's doing
14-man
cons.
ship.
Oh.
Think of it as a missile that 14 people have to pilot.
Yeah.
It's called a human torpedo.
It's very Traveler in that sense, right? To get a missile to hit, you need a thinking machine. So you don't really have any talent options. You have to take Advanced Sensor Suite and you have to take Improved Impulse. Your option is between, I think, high resolution sensors. Let me get back to,
because it's a patrol vessel, right?
It's patrol, yeah. So high resolution sensors, fast targeting systems, and improved power systems. I think improved power systems does not. 2 of those work exactly how they used to work. High resolution sensors, great for when you need to ask questions and make scans. Fast targeting, great for when you want to target specific systems. Improved power systems, though.
When you're trying to regain power, the diff is decreased by 1 to -1, and you can spend a momentum to ignore the complications for regenerating power. Because usually regenerating power, it has a comp attached to it.
Yeah, so instead of this talent helping you get more power, since having 1 power is the most you're ever going to have, it just makes it easier to get that back.
Easier and safer.
Overflow power?
Say that again?
Like, can you still, because like in 1E, you could go over your max power when you like.
No. You either have reserve power or you don't, and tasks either require you to have it or they don't. There's not a situation in which you could have more, and even if there was, there's not a situation in which you would need more.
Got it. All right.
I think that's kind of, if I had to take like a wild guess, it's probably to try to prevent the whole thing of like, the person at weapons firing like 4 times in like one turn.
It really changes spaceship combat action economy because you've got to alternate players a lot more frequently if you're doing that, I guess.
Gives you a breath from the enemy too, because they can't do that. That's the
yeah, definitely. But gives you more back and forth rather than like Alpha Strike potential, which 1E was like, oh yeah, no, you can take 6 actions before the enemy can go.
So how do y'all feel about one of those 3 talents? Because beings. Oh, okay. I take this back. This is in a weird section here in which they don't have any scale 2 examples in the actual book for 2E, but they do specifically call out you're not supposed to have more talents than scale. So I need to check real quick if you even what the wording is to see if you even get a talent from your.
You could just have
wow.
Right, because we're only scale 2 now.
Yeah.
It's
Smallcraft do not normally have talents. Some unique or customizable may have 1 or 2 as befits their more advanced capabilities.
But we are not a Smallcraft.
Yeah,
we're
because we
took
took
worlds, honestly.
It has compact vessel. You don't count as a small craft.
Oh well, there you go. That's for scale 1, scale 2. Is like that's the thing they have in 232 about how small craft get there.
Oh, TOS uniforms are hard to find.
TOS you what?
TOS uniforms.
They have them on. I mean, they have it on the token maker for.
I'm sure.
The limit of talents is only when first created. After which, but improved during play may obtain additional talents.
Yeah, where do you?
That's at 194.
Okay, because really, the specific wording matters on how it talks about profile.
Some of these should be determined by space frame. At least one should be determined by mission.
Okay.
Well, yeah.
So my understanding is that you're gonna have to drop one of the talents provided by space frame, because you get 2. One of them has to come from mission profile.
And there's no overlap between.
We're too small. That's the.
I'm just saying there is no overlap between the 2 lists.
No, they're similar, but they're slightly different. It's high resolution versus advanced sensor, and improved impulse versus improved power.
I think advanced sensors and improved impulse are better to keep, and we just get high res sensors, honestly.
So the problem there is you have to have one from mission profile.
Oh.
Yeah, so we have to lose something from the space frame to make room for our profile because we're so damn small.
So would y'all rather lose improved impulse or advanced sensor suites?
Look at improved.
Given that we're a patrol ship, it may behoove us to lose improved impulse because we need to see what we're looking for.
Agreed. I think having just a sensor boat, and then also it's easy. I think to get some of the effects of improved impulse with con.
And we can always get it later. Like as we advance, we can make the chip better. It's like if we're like, oh man, if only we had improved impulse. Like, okay, somebody buy that damn talent so we can get it.
Yeah, exactly.
The weirdest, I will say, the weird thing about improved impulse is that basically it's just creating an advantage. It's just a talent
Yeah.
that says make an advantage,
There's
which
a
is
couple
what's
talents like that, which are basically just you get disadvantage.
But
But it's
the
like-
catch is you have to spend 2 momentum, and in second E, it's hard to spend threat as momentum. It has a very narrowed avenue. So if we don't have the momentum, we're kind of stuck.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Well, but that's the thing is the improved what's it the improved
Impulse drive.
Yeah, the improved impulse drive calls out that you have to spend the momentum, like that you would have to spend anyway to create an advantage.
Well, but also traits and advantages can't just always be created for anything. You're not really supposed to just say, I want to spend two momentum to create advantage to lower the diff, right? You're supposed to have a reason.
Right.
And that's your reason. It's like, well, we have a talent that lets us do that. It's like, oh, well, easy decision.
This is why I can't say no.
Yeah.
Talent's why I can't say no.
Whereas if we wanted to do it otherwise, we'd have to give you like an actual cell.
Yeah. So out of fast targeting, high resolution and sensors, and improved power systems, what do y'all want to take there?
Probably not the high res
Vacation.
sensors, because we've already got a good sensor talent.
I mean,
fast targeting makes us
doubling
better.
up on them. Doubling up on them, I think, would be worthwhile. In that we're very fast with Con 5, presumably. So we can get information and then nope the hell out of there.
Which is kind of what the archer is meant to do.
Yeah, like I actually think double sensor would be good.
The big caveat there is part of this setting, right, is that the only reasonable support you have, at least for a little while, is a 100-year-old at its max refits Intrepid.
I see.
So like,
we should definitely go for fast targeting.
Yeah, if you the scope it out and scoot only works really if there's someone else to go tell. You're the person who would have to deal with it.
Then I would definitely vote fast targeting, because if we need to deal with a situation, we need to be able to do it precisely.
Ooh, and with fast targeting, you get a reroll for your next attack, and you get to choose a system hit by the attack.
Yeah.
Like that's pretty good. Being able to pick in without it, like getting harder. It's like no, you can be.
Then you can disable their engines, disable their weapons, to feel a lot easier.
That's even better than how fast targeting used to be. Normally, it used to just be you call the system and that's it.
And even then, if you called the system, it was like, oh, difficulty increase. This one, it's like no, you'd probably. I think without looking into it, you might need fast targeting to target something.
Fast targeting used to eliminate the difficulty increase of targeting a system.
Actually, with doing that, this actually kind of feels like the archer they would send to do this problem, because if you could have other mission profiles like Pathfinder and Recon. I think Patrol is the only reasonable one for an archer that's going to get you security 3+ to even take fast targeting systems.
No, if we take fast targeting, combined that with our extra plating and weapon systems, this is a little bit of a gunboat.
Well, there's a lot of work. There's a lot of a lot left unsaid, saying your increased plating.
Okay. We've evolved from basically an undefended civilian vessel to, we will not immediately blow over like a paper bag in a fight.
We've gone from 3 reinforced plates to 4.
We actually have shield systems.
No. We went from 3 reinforced plates to 6. Use you.
Accelerated increased resistance.
That's great. Yeah. Oh, I love this.
And I think a big thing to remember about resistance and damage is my understanding is that now NPCs and PC ships have the same kind of health track, which is I think if you have taken more than half your scale in breaches or a single system has been destroyed. Oh no,
So
okay, it's a number of breachers greater than the ship's scale.
Okay.
You can no longer so if you all take 3 breaches, it doesn't matter where they are. If you take 3 breaches, you're critically damaged. 4, the ship is destroyed.
Right.
And if a single system has breaches equal to or greater than half, so if a single system takes 1 breach, that system is destroyed. Which means if your weapons take a breach, it's not an override. Your torpedo tubes and phasers are dead. So it's definitely a
Got it.
combat has to be. Combat is serious. It's not. It is not something you're gonna duke it out with the enemy, right? You either need to win at the beginning or run, probably.
Or be prepared to weather the storm and hope they don't hit you hard enough. Or dodge, I suppose. With a good pilot, evasion, make yourself hard to hit in the first place.
I'm seeing more and more arguments for a good pilot.
Yeah. Especially with the high con, like we have, like there's a lot of con talents that are all about evading.
And we're also going to be landing on planets, so like.
Yeah.
Like
which kind of, if we're done talking with the ship, kind of dovetail into the questions of what does everyone want to play.
Yes, that is the.
Yeah. I guess my first choice is probably Con, honestly. I like the idea of flying the ship. Secondarily, I'd be fine with medical or anything else really.
I was thinking med, because we haven't really had a ship's doctor in a while.
But since the Romulan traitor, I mean.
And the last time I wanted to play a doctor character, Rylov beat me to the punch.
Hi.
Yeah. I remember that one. The Frenchman.
The Frenchman.
French. Okay, yeah, no. Technically, I guess I have beaten you to the punch on 2 doctors without intending to. Now, there was the Frenchman, and then there was the Midwesterner.
But hey, look, I can do nothing but thank you for that one, because that let me play the gamer.
Oh yeah.
Oh god.
Yeah. What is everybody else thinking? If you have any thoughts.
Well, I'm going chief of the boat.
All right. I was leaning either engineering or command. I wasn't going to take the command spot if someone else really wanted it, but I would do it if it's open.
Yeah, you're free to take it. I was only going to take. I was on the similar boat. I was only going to take command if no one was going to be interested. It's like, well, someone should be in that seat.
Yeah.
I've been captain before, so I am good. But
yeah, I've also been captain a couple times before. It's up to you. I was also looking at engineering.
So the thing that may decide who wants to do it more is to make the story kind of work. The captain's gonna have to fit a couple of people and a situation into their background, being that they did not get the opportunity to serve in the Klingon War, and that they have had a stellar record, near the top of their class or at the top of their class at the academy, and have checked all the boxes so that a Commodore isn't worried about giving them approval to command a ship before they've hit commander.
Okay.
Because the idea the idea is that really they'd prefer a commander, but there isn't one.
Mm-hmm.
What's happening is because
the Connies are coming out soon, or one of them, like I think they're only just being
built this year. The first ones are built this year.
So probably a lot of them being slated for those assignments. Like, well, we have a bunch of high-ranking people. They're going to the Connies, which are huge. It's like, well, crap.
And what year is this?
This is 2260.
Okay, 2260, like on the dot. Okay.
Yeah.
But I could do Chief of Security if no one, like, I was worried everyone was gonna be jumping for the pew pew, as it were. So I'm good for whatever. As for command, if you wanna do the honors, I will gladly let you have the. I will allow you because I'm so much better now. If you want to take the captain's chair, feel free.
With the permission.
Yeah.
I believe the only other person who hasn't. I've never fired a gun before, but it can't be that hard. But
well, if it makes it better, as the apparent XO, I'm going more action orientated, so you don't need to.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, so you can get your shirt ripped and you can punch people. I think the only person who hasn't declared an interest is Rylov.
I'm just here, man.
Okay.
Just in general.
As an, I'll fill in whatever needs to be filled in.
Enlisted.
I mean, this is the time to say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if no one's interested in con, I'll lock in con then.
Okay.
In the interest of moving this forward.
So.
And sure, I will claim captain.
The best way I could make con make sense is that the science officer, in this case, the science officer might end up being an NPC, but that person heads both the science and con division, and most of the people
do hybrid science con.
Say that again.
I could do a hybrid of science con, I guess.
If you wanted to be an officer, if you wanted to be pure con, you could be the chief operations specialist, because those people are meant to be multidiscipline.
Mm-hmm.
But I was thinking the difference between should you have a science officer leading this area or a con officer. Science officers, the people who are capable of being science officers, right, usually have advanced degrees. The people who are being con officers generally are officers, right? But there's less advanced degrees to become an expert helmsman. So that's why I'm thinking that it's more likely, even on a Con 5 ship, that if you have to choose between having a con officer and a science officer, you're going to choose a science officer because the qualified people are all officers, whereas there are qualified helmsmen who are not officers.
Definitely. I'm good to go with either one.
Like, I mean, you could do con, I'll do science then, given it sounds like we don't have a science at the moment.
Sounds good.
That'd be kind of cool to see.
So I'll be.
I'd love to see you like doing a science officer.
Cool. Sounds good.
So we have both the command people. We've got an engineer.
I have an engineer.
We don't have an engineer.
Which is by far the largest section of the ship's crew.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ow.
Then again, do y'all want to go into combat with your first combat having an NPC chief of security?
Yeah. I had a concept for a security type person or a more maverick CO. That's why I was like, yeah, I'm the wrong fit for my CO concept does not fit the current ship story concept. A maverick does not get command of the Archer at this time, period.
Yeah.
Ooh, ow.
So I mean, I guess one thing we also should be slightly aware of is like in a month or two, we're probably getting Ensley back.
Yep.
Yeah, I told Inslee
like, yeah.
I told Inslee that what we would do is any of the positions that are left open after we decide on this, I will let him make a supporting character for that. Y'all can use that supporting character until he gets back, and then when he gets back, he will either decide to finish that character into a full character so that they were here the whole time, or he'll transfer in a new character if, like, you know, he brought in a science officer and y'all decided to make them an expert in geology. Right? If it was too narrow or niche, then he can swap something in.
Sent them on a mission where they got like half their body exploded and they're in the chair that beeps.
And they got cybernetic feet.
Hey, work for Pike.
No, not again.
Work for Pike.
That's the whole point of the episode.
Oh God.
Yeah. Bob, your character should be gold, I think.
Son of a bitch.
Sorry, I was
because
guessing.
you are fully within the command division now.
Right, I'll export a gold one.
And if you could do it with borders, that would be wonderful.
Yeah, I'm gonna be working on mine in a moment.
You can. I just made the image that appears on the sheet a borderless, and then if you pull out the token has a border.
Yeah, that works too.
Yeah,
it's just he did not do that. In fact, his avatar is an operations officer, and his token is an operations officer, but from 100 years ago.
Well, shut the fuck up.
So, the last kind of position thing then is, Rylov, do you want to be executive officer, or do you want the NPC chief engineer to be the executive officer?
Science executive on a patrol boat? Sure.
Actually
kind of makes sense.
No.
Science officer being the XO in the TOS era? Wow, that's never happened before.
Besides, you two will make a great duo. I could see this going very well for us.
Yes. Time to make a redneck.
Jeez.
I do need to ask something, Winchester.
Well, maybe I'm feeling a little harsh right now because someone did not like my uniform advice.
Wow.
So I picked experimental device rank 1 as one of my talents, and for one of my backstory events, I got found an artifact. So I'd like to work with you some other time to nail that down.
Sure. Yeah, we can do that.
Probably Sonic based because Winchester. He's really obsessed about it. He likes magic in his game as much as possible.
Honestly, fuck you and psionics.
So esoteric talents are on the table, right? No.
If you pick the right species, I guess.
No, because it's GM's approval.
Oh,
you can just say no to those talents in the core. I'm not going to take them. I have other stuff I definitely want to take, other than as cool as they are. And I'm glad they're in the core.
With certain exceptions, if you play an NR, you just get or Betazoid, you just get to be telepathic. That's your species ability. You just get that talent.
Yeah.
Which
Vulcan
I guess
has as a version as their special talents, but that's not the same thing.
Yeah.
Empaths that are mind melders and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Here we go.
Yeah, no, I think I've given everyone a good dose of psionics. I'll spare everyone from trying to chase that particular dragon. Besides, there's a bunch of other cool talents that make characters cool in 2E anyway.
Well, the Commodore, who y'all will meet eventually, and who will have been, most of you will end up having served with, definitely Carpenter's character will have previously, like a few days ago, been his second officer, with his first officer taking up command of the Bellerophon, the other ship. He is an Anar, which is why he's a command level officer that's not in the right. He's the command level officer that they left out here because he's totally willing to do this part of Starfleet. He wasn't willing to go fight the Klingons, right? And then the commander of the Bellerophon is in Orion. So there is already someone who does psionics. There's an Anar, but they're the kind of psion who doesn't like to use their psionics unless other psionics are around.
Now here's
very unlike the ones you put in Traveler. Okay, I see.
Oh no.
Friggin' Zest, man.
Psions in Traveler are the boogeymen.
Yeah, in his Traveler game I'm in, we recruited a character who was psionic onto the crew by virtue of she kept fucking with our heads until we eventually consented to letting her get on board with a huge paycheck that we didn't realize was way above what she actually deserved.
It's a different form of sci-fi.
Well, that sounds really familiar to me for some reason.
Can't imagine.
So I'm trying to. If I can find the page that tells me what I'm looking for, I'm trying to make sure that your character's squared away, Bob. But I can't find where it says the total number of attributes and disciplines.
Yeah, I just went through the creator.
But he's just making sure it's accurate to the book. It should be right though,
because it might be different in 2E. That's why.
Question: when I'm building con, does 2E still allow you to kind of narratively choose between daring and control for con tasks? Or do I need to have both of them? Pretty solid.
Someone else will have to answer that, or you'll have to give me a minute.
Yeah, searching.
Thank you.
I am, however, going to have to depart here. So I'll make a character. I'll finish making the character later. I know it's going to be a science officer, exo type person. I just can't say, "Hey, government, wait! I need to play a tabletop game."
Yeah, fair.
No, I did it.
Yep.
You can.
They will in fact
idea.
decide that is not a valid
I mean, normally I ask that you do go to prison to play in my games, but you know,
I mean,
not everybody has it in them.
Luther, right?
It's not that I'd go to prison; it's that I'd very quickly be homeless.
Oh no.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's awful.
Maybe you can come back on later, but you know, fine if you can't.
Yeah, no, I mean, real life comes first, obviously.
Yeah.
They're just trying to make you feel guilty. Don't listen to them.
It depends on how long this goes on for.
We'll catch you when we catch you, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This should be interesting, though.
I hope he's okay.
I know.
Yeah, I'll probably pick up the second edition PDF within a couple of weeks. It's just not big on the concerns.
So from what I'm reading, it looks like it depends on what you're doing. So
I'll need both then.
You'll need both, yeah. Because like attack patterns, control con, evasives, daring con.
Got it. I'm probably gonna be leaning into evasive, honestly, so I'm probably gonna go higher on daring.
So if I'm looking at making a Vulcan, right, the first talent I should take is mental discipline species ability, and this is for free and mandatory for everyone who takes that. Is this how species abilities work?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Everyone gets the species ability.
Yeah, and in the character generator, it automatically tags that for you. It goes, well, that goes on their sheet.
Yeah. Like, I think I'm making a human this time, and Face of the Heart is the human ability.
All right. So
imagine being
human.
On
this. So we gotta have some humans. It's like someone's gotta take
I
a
agree.
challenge. You did it last time. I'm doing it this time.
You need the baseline for the wacky aliens to play off of.
Exactly. And I've been playing the wacky alien for like 3 times straight.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm wrong, Corpinion.
Yeah, and I'm trying to figure out. I'm thinking of playing something that is explicitly not that. So
not wacky alien or not human?
Not human, because I've been playing basically human or human adjacent for the past.
Yeah, like you've got a lot of humans under your belt, or close humans.
Which is part of why I want to ask. So, what's the backwards compatibility on like species between 1E and 2E?
I would have to invent. If it's not in 1E, I mean, if it's not in 2E, there is work to it.
Okay.
It's not a lot of work, but
is it easier if they have species talents in 1E?
Say that again.
It's easier if they have a species talent in 1E that could be like made into a ability.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Like let me look at the ones I wanted again. That isn't even the one I'd want anyway. Yeah, this talent is really basic. This is like this is a reduce the difficulty of this kind of task by 1 kind of basic.
Mm-hmm.
What species are you thinking?
I'm thinking of playing an Aurelian.
Oh. Which one are those?
The sky people or the fly people?
They're the bird people.
Bird people.
Bird people.
Oh, bird person. Okay.
Nice. Oh, bird person on his cramped ship. You're so cruel to yourself.
Yep.
Good thing we land all the time. Cough.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a bit like playing a canary in a very small coal mine. You're not gonna have a lot of fun here.
Oh, believe me, I'm the doctor. Like, do you realize how many canary in a coal mine jokes he has heard in his life?
You have to be yellow now.
The only difference I see, I do not have enough time to actually validate that all the upbringing and the background and all that actually gives the correct bonuses on the thing, but you have the correct number of points, so that's good enough. I did change. You had enlisted crew or something like that. The trait that you get for being enlisted is Starfleet crew.
Oh,
so not a big change.
So does the character generator do 2E stuff now, or?
It does, yeah. You have to specifically like select 2E.
Exclude everything else and click just 2E. But if you're adding Aurelian, you'll have to keep that.
2E. And if you click on 2E, then you can enable everything else, and it should give like a little pop-up at the bottom that says like 2E character generation rule enabled.
Yeah, I see it now. Cool.
Yeah.
I think I just wasn't looking in that corner of the screen when that came up the first time. Does anyone remember what book the Aurelians are in?
I have no clue.
I want to say Alpha off the top of my head.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds correct. I might be wrong.
Well, I should be able to.
Because I think because Caitians are an Alpha. That's how we're.
Yeah, right.
So there isn't a specific role for the role you're taking on, Bob. So you could make use of the executive officer, but you could also maybe use expert.
Expert makes sense for Master Chief, because Master Chief is the person who knows everything about a topic.
Well, yeah, I was thinking that considering this is post Klingon War, and probably a lot of people here, especially with the type of ship, probably wanted to avoid it or no part of it. That my guy would have been probably involved and is like the designated. Oh, we're actually in trouble. Go.
So the benefit you'd still call your role as chief of the boat, but you will just know that you get the role benefit of expert, which means you need to select one of your focuses. You gain an additional value which reflects the importance of your work, and you select one of your focuses and mark that you're an expert in it.
Awesome.
The suggestion would be it should probably either be something that you came up through the ranks doing, like whatever your track was before getting shifted to command, or it should be something in command.
Yeah, that'll be easy enough to sort out.
All right, that's you.
Oh no.
What?
I'm just reading over this thing about Aurelians. Aurelians dislike enclosed spaces, and many suffer from a mild form of claustrophobia.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
Because remember, on their world, they fly around everywhere. Like, that's it is normal to them to fly from mountaintop to mountaintop. Being cramped up in a spaceship is odd for.
Oh, that's funny.
I mean, you also have to consider the fact that humans also we evolved on the savannas of Africa, and we also don't like closed spaces. Your average person on a submarine will experience a lot of claustrophobia and fear. That's why only some amount of people can psychologically handle being on a submarine for a long period of time. If you're the kind of Aurelian who is on this kind of ship, he probably does not have insane claustrophobia, because he wouldn't be a functional doctor.
Yeah, you're like the equivalent of one of those people who can go caving and like wriggle through.
Oh God, no! Yeah. No! Oh God, no!
No, it's a personal ick for me, but I had to example of this.
Yeah, anyone who wants to go caving should watch the the hit documentary The Descent about why it's such a terrible idea.
Oh jeez.
Has to be well-rounded. Nah.
I'm gonna be decently well-rounded because I probably won't have great fitness or daring, but I'll probably have good everything else.
Yeah, right now I've got 10s in control and daring, 8 fitness, 9 insight, 7 presence, and 8 reason. My presence is never going up.
One of the things I really like about this system is that it has a hobby as like an additional focus.
Yeah,
so you're
Last time, yeah.
Yeah, I really like that. You're not punished for saying, "Well, I also like to kayak." You're just allowed to do that. And if the enemy general challenges you to a kayaking duel, it will come up. But otherwise, it's just character building.
Kayaking duel.
Oh. Yeah, kayaking duels.
The honorable warrior pastime, you see.
I mean, it builds the same upper arm muscles you need to stab people. So,
well, it's good for Anbujitsu training. The big Pujo sticks or whatever.
Yeah, and I think Klingons would mess with any sport. That seems extremely dangerous. So, okay, GM. As part of my backstory, I would have not fought in the Klingon War, correct?
No.
We were all out here on this outpost, which is where?
Yes.
Okay.
If I give you the answer to that, the game becomes less fun because I have to.
Yes, no, I understand.
Honor.
I would do the same thing, just not closest Klingon space is what I'm to understand.
Yes.
Okay.
The frontier, not near Klingon space.
Uh-huh.
Which is not going to stop Klingons from showing up, but.
Sure. Okay.
Not on the Klingon border is the most accurate I can say.
Okay. And yeah, we didn't see any of that. That's just one. I didn't know if I should be taking. I probably won't have a very high security then. Okay.
It would probably depend on what you did as second officer, right? What department did you come up through? Because unless you came up as a con officer, you're unlikely to have always had command as your primary skill. So until you weren't a captain until the game starts.
Yeah, I was thinking either science or engineering because we don't have an engineering main character. I might have an engineering 4 and then like a talent or 2.
Which means, starting when the game starts, you'll have never been an XO or a CO. Your last posting will have been as chief engineer, because the person who was previously XO is now commanding the only other ship in the area. Which kind of works out as like why out of all of the senior officers of the Bellerophon and the Deep Space K4, why did he choose you to do this? First, you've got a stellar record. Second, it's a prototype ship, and you just came off of leading an engineering department. So that fits more in with why he would choose you.
I'm not taking glancing impact, because doubling our resistance by taking evasive action seems really good.
That's very powerful, yeah.
Yeah. Increases resistance by 2 whenever you evasive action.
This is going to be a patrol vessel. Okay.
Just trying to migrate one of my Vulcan security character from my phone to my computer so I can actually could rebuild it, I guess. I'm being stubborn now. I'm gonna make this work.
I could have sworn there was a con-related talent that cared about ships with scale 2 or less.
That may be something that requires 2 different things. Hold on.
It might
I know what you're talking about.
Oh, don't forget, don't sleep on things like
general, but calm.
The talent that allows you to have additional active crew support, because right now y'all can only have 2 crew support active.
What was it again?
Who's that for?
You.
Oh, I thought there was something that. I thought there was a con talent that cared about starships with scale 2 or less. I'm reading through the con talents right now. Yeah, but...
I'm not seeing one that cares about scale.
So,
yeah, I might just be.
Yeah. So this this may be what you're looking for. Thread the needle. When you perform the impulse minor action or warp major action when piloting a starship, enemy attacks from ships with a greater scale than yours increase in diff by 1. If attacked by a ship with a scale that is double or more of your ship, you increase a diff by 2. So, being that you're only scale 2, a lot of ships you could come into contact will be double your scale, even if they're not scale 5. You know, a lot of warships and enemy ships in general are scale 4.
Yeah.
So that, having that talent would increase the diff by 1 and in a lot of cases 2 for attacks against you, if you've moved, basically.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is I'm lying. I 100% missed it. I built a con person before.
It doesn't actually say it's not actually relevant to just having scale 2, right?
Yeah,
it could be good on a scale 3 or scale 4 as well. It'd be useless on us. Actually, the only time it would ever come up on a scale 6 is if you're fighting a Daenerys, because they moved. I always thought in the original, the printed book I have for first edition has Daenerys at scale 7.
Yeah.
But then quickly after that, everything else printed shows them at scale 6. But now they're the only like non-Borg, constantly on screen in the show's ship that is scale 7.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is an ambiguity reflected in the show itself, because they only had one model for a Romulan ship, and so they, depending on the episode and shot, it seems bigger or smaller in relation to the Enterprise D.
And they moved the Sovereign from scale 6 to scale 5, which I think is probably accurate.
It's much smaller than the Enterprise D. The Enterprise D is comically huge. Because it's a flying city essentially.
And that's a cool thing. It actually the rules here bear that out. I don't know if there are any other ships that get this in the current list of ships in the book, but one of the special rules, or the special rule that I know that the Galaxy has, is that I think your crew support goes up by 1 because you have abundant people. There's just always someone around who does abundant personnel. Your crew support's doubled. It's not +1. Your crew support is doubled, and any modifiers you get from like talents, either on player characters or on the ship, also have that effect doubled. So, your Galaxy, a Galaxy class starship starts without any other considerations at 12 crew support.
Mm-hmm. So what?
Oh, I take that back. The Constitution is older, according to TUI, by almost 20 years, by about 15 years.
Constitution, really?
2243 is what it has the launch year for.
Oh,
yeah. Also, 2241. The toolkit also gives stats for the Pioneer class.
Oh, well, that's where all the high-ranking people went. It's like, well, where are all the Connies? They're in deep space missions. We're the ones sitting on the frontier doing stuff.
Well, I mean, they're either on deep space missions or they're fighting the Klingons.
Yeah.
Right now, they're either still on those deep space missions and still don't know that a war happened, or they are currently putting out 5 alarm fires on every border colony near the Klingons.
Yeah.
So bold and cautious, they're still things, right?
Yep.
Okay.
The talents aren't really changed unless it had something to do with extended tasks or challenge dice.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think some of the more ridiculous ones got removed, or maybe they didn't. No testing theory. Theory into practice is still here. Okay.
So, what are the? So I read over what the primary responsibilities are for, the doctor on this ship as sort of like a traveling doctor going to small ships and colonies. So I presume it's mostly going to be dealing with like diseases and injuries.
I would think of yourself more like both a traveling doctor and chief biologist, right? Because the science officer, I think, and he's even, I think, said he's going to make it this way, is going to be kind of also doubling in con. So I think you will see a closer effect to like McCoy, where you do find yourself on a lot of away missions, and right. when anything biological comes up, it's not just Spock or the science officer scanning and asking questions and looking into it. You're also right there.
Right. Yeah. No. I figured that much. It's more like okay, cool. Yeah. Yeah. Then I definitely want an infectious disease focus, I think. Yeah, this works. Oh, this really works. I like this.
Every single one of my talents is a calm talent.
I can't imagine why you'd want to do that.
Yeah.
Someone doesn't want to die.
Yeah, well, someone doesn't want to be sent on the away missions.
Oh no, I have a security of 3.
Well, no, y'all don't get to go. Remember, y'all don't get to go on away missions until the con officer has landed the ship.
Right.
So
unless you beam down, but the pad only has 3 spots on it.
3 spots.
Yeah.
And it's probably kind of finicky.
Yeah, I mean, if your con officer is good enough, y'all may never actually end up with an Adodin.
Mm-hmm. I mean, why would you? It's just an insult to my piloting skills, frankly, to use a transporter to get down here. You know the ship can land, right? We have landing here. You think I can't handle an atmospheric landing?
Someone always wants to be the guy who hates transporters.
Yeah. I think that's going to be me. But I think it's not for like... It's like a... Why would you do that?
See, ironically, unlike McCoy, my character is the doctor that actually likes the transporters. Because let's just say he has had bad experiences flying from point A to point B.
You don't have to be a veteran to be captain, right? You can take experience.
Yes. Veteran only has a lower limit. It doesn't have is never required.
Okay.
Winchester, what should my rank be?
That is when people your
I want to know the chief's
rank for a chief operations specialist is going to be chief petty officer, and then either first, second, or third class, right? But everybody's always going to use chief or chief operations specialist when they call you by your rank, because your rate replaces your rank.
Gotcha.
It's not just a job title, it's your job. It kind of replaces your rank and is also a job title.
Because once upon a time, ranks and job titles were the same thing, and they still kind of are for NCOs.
Yeah, makes sense.
And I think relevant to our chief of security and our chief operations specialist, in the same way that officers could not be promoted to the equal or higher rank than the captain until the chief of the boat, Chief Shazlock?
Just go for the first name.
The Chief Thal, until he becomes a Master Chief, y'all are stuck at your current rank, because the next rank, unless you, I didn't plan on getting into the weeds about first, second, and third class. If the two of you choose to do that, then you do have a lot of space to go up. If you don't, then you don't, because the next step up is senior chief, and you aren't going to be able to be equal in rank to the chief of the boat.
Okay. Okay. Ooh, pastimes.
I'm fine by that. I'm not going to be bucking for promotion muchly. In a small boat like this, that really can't be your thought process anyway, because it's like, well, if you go beyond a certain, even if you go by beyond a certain rank, it's like, well, why the hell are you still in the Archer? Why haven't they pulled you to one of the Connies that are out there? You're so high ranked. It's like, that's how important this ship is? Like, no. You're an Archer. You're tiny.
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing when you're on, a Galaxy class or Halifax station. Yeah, they're going to let you, they'll give you a promotion to keep you on board. But here it's like, if you're getting promoted, you're leaving the show. Most everyone in most of the TV shows ranks up once, if not 0 times throughout the whole show.
Hell, even was it in TNG? Friggin' Riker, he easily could have made captain before the end of the show. It's like no, he stayed commander because he wouldn't take a ship command. Like that's the next step. If you want to be captain, you have to command a ship as a commander at some point. It's like I'm not doing it. It's like, well, you'll never make him captain then. Straight up, that's just not happening.
Winchester, I want to ask your approval on this one because it definitely could seem metagamey. It was not my intent with it. I'd like to go for free running as a pastime.
As a what?
As my pastime.
Free running?
Yeah.
Like parkour. Some.
It's like parkour, but more dedicated to aesthetics. It's more trying to show off than trying to get from point A to point B.
I don't know why it would be metagaming.
Because pastimes aren't. Okay.
I could see an argument for it being used to get from one place to another in an emergency on the ship.
Oh.
But that's not what I'm trying to go for here, so I wanted to ask your approval first.
No, I don't. No, I've never seen someone do parkour that made me think that person could get from B deck to A deck on a battleship fast. And if anything, it would be like, not only would this person accidentally kill themselves, but they would also slow down 90% of the people on the ship.
Absolutely, yeah.
So, no.
Cool. Gotcha. Just like that first. Yeah, I've got a daring of 12, so I'm definitely going for a bit of a thrill seeker, I think.
Oh god, you're gonna get us all killed.
That hopefully not, because with that much daring.
Yeah, I mean,
you're the daredevil that survived every time it got better.
Exactly.
Yeah, I guess that's a survivorship bias moment where if you have daring 12 and you've pulled it off, you're the one guy who actually can make it work.
I have a value speed as a drug and a value full throttle or nothing. These might sound like the same thing, but different.
Oh god.
Oops.
Oh, and since we know who the captain is now, I will share with you tonight or next week's captain's log / mission directives. This is the format I'll give you them in, and my hope is that most weeks it will be here whenever you log on. That way you can rewrite it as needed, because it's just a suggestion. The directives are not a suggestion, but the log is. And I kind of threw my hands up on star dates. The star dates for TOS start in 2265. So I kind of just took that to mean that, oh, star date, at least as far as TOS is concerned, and I don't even think this is true if you watch TOS, but it's going to have to be true for us. Star date is the official record per the ship's chronometer. So right, the first log entry is always star date 0000.0, and then it ticks up from there, rather than star date being a universal time that all of Starfleet follows. Because there's not really any other way for me to make it work. When I ran the Challenger, we just didn't do star dates. We just actually did time based on Earth, but that only works. That made sense because there wasn't a Federation yet.
Yeah. The reason why is that star dates in TOS were just random numbers. There wasn't a calculation for it. The whole point was that they didn't have an answer for what year the show took place in, so star dates were just a way to get around the question of what century this was. The idea that it's the 2200s is like a later canon idea.
I've opted to not take bold in the interest of having exclusively con talents.
Oh God. Okay.
Well, we're done. We don't need no reroll.
I'm seeing the gif of Dave Chappelle like scratching his arm and asking, "Do you have any more of that stuff?" But like instead, it's con talents and it's Thralic.
Yeah. The talents I've gone for are flyby, glancing impact, thread the needle, and multitasking. Yeah, exactly.
Senior.
Getting near the end.
Okay, yeah. Now I.
Oh, and it's on the document, but it's not on the character sheet here. Chief of because your character Corbinian is in a slightly weird position, being a department head but not an officer.
Yeah.
So you are a chief of security, but that's not a rank. That is purely a job title. Your rank would be master at arms.
Yeah,
Our Chief Master at Arms.
Yeah, I was checking rank for virtue of veteran. And it's like, yeah, that's high enough for veteran.
What's the medicine?
Oh.
What's the medicine department score on the ship?
1, I think.
Let me double check.
Oh no, it's 2.
2.
2. Yep. You actually have a bay instead of just a closet. Well, not really, because we know where the med bay is somewhere. We actually have the deck plan. We actually know where your bay is.
Oh yeah, the med bay's right here. 3 beds and a little science station, an equipment locker, and a desk.
Hey, that's
all you need. Again.
Lord forbid, no more than 3 people get injured. If a barrel falls and hits 4 people, we're screwed.
But also, if 4 people get hit, that is a measurable percentage of the ship's crew.
Oh, sure.
I'll go with
Okay. Last.
Oh, I was double checking. I don't remember if Chief is high enough for veteran or not.
It is, yeah. As long as I'm not I can't be one of the junior, because I need to be a chief or higher, a chief petty officer or higher. If I'm a petty officer or crewman, then that's too low to be a veteran, because there's no way you've served as a veteran and you're still a petty officer, because you probably wouldn't be in the service anymore. It's like, could you how are you not ranked up? What? The way you get up these ranks is being good at your job and not pissing anybody off. However, you've been in the service for 30 years, and for some reason, you're still a petty officer 2nd class. You should reconsider your path in life. You've done something wrong. Not that I know real military, or anyone yells at me. That said, I'm taking experience because extra talent. Because otherwise I take veteran talent. Like, veteran's good. It is powerful, but there's other things.
I think y'all will find determination is more forthcoming. My understanding of 2E is not that they've really changed the rules around determination, but that they've definitely reinforced the idea more that y'all should proactively be saying, right, this situation kind of puts me against my value, right? You shouldn't be waiting on me to say this is a difficult situation for you. Here's a determination. The book calls out that y'all should be proactively saying this situation is hard for my character because of this value, right? And asking for that determination.
Sounds good.
And the complication that comes with it.
Aha, that's why.
The first thing that made me think, like, they're really trying to push is that it calls out you can only have 3 determination at a time. If you get 1 while you have 3, you just lose it. And I'm thinking, when have we ever had someone have 3 determination?
Yeah.
You always have 1 or 0, because you don't want to do the things to get more than 1.
Yeah, that's, I think, probably one of my problems with 1E is that, the rules directly encourage you to make characters with, like, contradictory values, because most interesting characters are, believe multiple things to be true at once, even if they can't always be true always at once. But, like, the game system is like, okay, and you might have to challenge those values if you want to survive and succeed in situations, but then, like, that doesn't really come up in play, not unless the GM is really going for it. So I'm fine with that if, like, the players would kind of have to be the one to take that plunge.
Yeah. I guess the art actually seems pretty good.
Quick study.
What does?
Faith of the Heart, the human species.
Oh yeah, Faith of the Heart's pretty darn good.
Yeah.
Did you look at Resolute for human for extra stress?
I looked at it. Like the command thing doesn't really work too well for me because I'm not speccing into command.
Yeah, that's true.
Like I got a command of 2, so like it would do something, but it's really there for people who are playing captains and commanding officers, I think. I actually looked more at the other human talent when I was considering it, but I was like, no, I'm just going to go for all con talents and then pick up other things later. Like the first talent I pick up is probably going to be Gold Con, but it might not be.
Do people even pick cautious anymore?
I do sometimes. Depends on the character.
Occasionally, yeah. I had cautious science as myth and then bold engineering later, I believe.
Okay, and correct me if I'm wrong, but reading the description of the talent for Nerve Pinch, as a melee attack, it's still fitness. It's just instead of fitness security, it becomes fitness science or fitness medicine.
I'm playing a Vulcan as well. You tickled my brain there now.
Ask your question again.
With Nerve Pinch, the discipline or the attribute you're still rolling is fitness because it's a melee attack. It doesn't specify which attribute you'd be rolling. It just specifies what discipline is changing. That's why I ask.
Yes, the attribute does not change.
Then I probably won't take it because my fitness isn't very high.
Melee attacks are not fitness; they're daring.
Yeah.
You have to have a talent to make it fitness. Okay. And unless your fitness is 11, you didn't take that talent.
My fitness is 9 and my daring is 7. So no, I don't. Okay. I did not learn how to do the Culinar. I did not see the use in it. Or not the Culinar, the Nerve Pinch.
A Vulcan with super low daring. Actually, yeah, I was about to, because Vulcans definitely don't get daring as a bonus. So if you haven't increased it, it'll be at 7.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Then the Nerve Pinch, you might be saved if you have a high science or medicine, because your discipline might make up for the attribute a little, but I don't think you have a high science or medicine. So
my science is 4, but 7 plus 4 is 11. So I have Mind Melds. That'll be Vulcan-y enough for me. There's lots of other talents I could take, considering I have a pretty broad generalist character here.
I remember someone on the I was about to say, I remember someone on the Challenger having Mind Meld, and that was fun to play with because it always backfired. That person got to have a Romulan live in their brain.
Oh, I remember hearing about that.
Before they even knew what a Romulan was. And it wasn't actually a Romulan. It was one of the Vulcan warlords who had intended to go be a Romulan, but they didn't make it off the world.
Oh.
So they were like 0 control, all the daring, and constantly wanted to commit all the sins. While the character who got to have this split personality normally was all control, no daring, trying to follow the rules.
Here we go. This will work.
I mean, Culinar doesn't really have anything to do with attributes specifically.
Yeah, but it's narratively, it implies a very strict kind of character, which is why I've never seen someone take it, and I don't know if I ever will.
Yeah, I was a Kholinar captain.
Yeah.
It does kind of narratively kind of ask for a very. It's like, well, why is this even this Vulcan is unflappable? It's like, I've achieved Kholinar. I have gone through extreme efforts to be this controlled, but I'm also a lot more easygoing about stuff than you would think. It's like, why? Because I don't mind. I genuinely do not mind. Or if I do mind, I've figured it out in my own head. So I'm not as bothered by it as even a Vulcan might be. Which even Kholinar's good for evading emotional. It makes emotional traits cheaper for Vulcan, which can be, depending on the game, can be useful.
Yeah, well, I mean, essentially, I mean, but that cuts both ways because it means your character no longer has any meaningful physical connections. You've achieved peak, I no longer care about anything.
Well, then you get into platonics. It's like, I value you as a person who adds to my life as a whole, but I have no emotional connection because that's not good for me to have. But I can acknowledge that you are a good person to have. You're a good raiser of my children. You are a wise person who I'd rather was around than not. But it's that level of very utilitarian, very platonic relationship building, which is, it is a weird thing you have to kind of turn your head around. I'm not taking with this one because this Vulcan I'm going with is a little more, a bit more frontier Vulcan. Let's put it that way. There's a reason he doesn't go home often. He does work here, so it's like, yeah, I get to be a phaser wielding Vulcan, sure. Why? That's not a thing that's common back on Vulcan. I'm not patted on the back much. The militant Vulcan line is not a thing back on the homeworld much anymore. It's kind of discouraged with Sarek's teachings and so on.
Oh, I'm trying to look it up to double check the wording is the same across editions, but Bob, I don't think experimental device is into the other one that does a similar thing. Personal effects is, but I've looked through the list twice now and I can't find it. So you may have had one selected or something.
But personal effect can still get what you're going for now. That's why, because personal effect is a lot more wide than it used to be. Personal effect was limited to what had certain opportunity costs.
Yeah, personal effect says you may possess some significant and uncommon item or device which is not standard issue, but which is nevertheless helpful. So you can, and it doesn't say anything about how much opportunity or momentum it costs. So actually, I think it's probably strictly better than experimental device. It doesn't have a downside.
Oh, yeah, I've just gone on the that Holmes site. Yeah, it's not too big.
No. So, what did you have in mind?
Well, it was going to be along line with like something that I found, which would have been some technology from a ruins he discovered in his past.
Yeah, I read that. I just didn't know if you wanted me to suggest something or you had something more specific in mind.
No, I'm essentially gonna. Oh, I was thinking about modifying a Thinkefi armor set.
Is that something with like Memory Alpha or something you can link me to?
One second. Well, I'll put it in chat. Basically, it was on Star Trek Online where someone just reskinned the Thinkefi, the armor. I mean, yes, it's stupid. But at this stage, that's just how I'm going to play the character.
I think I have a suggestion which may fit more, which is an altered personal force field. Because I would think something ancient, but also highly advanced, is less likely to be relying on physical protection than some kind of energy protection.
Okay.
So the way personal force fields work is that it provides protection, but when you take an injury, you can sacrifice it to avoid an injury. And instead of whatever type of injury you were going to take, you just take a stun injury instead. So,
well, that's cool.
Because you're a chief, what if we take the personal force field, but we say the one you found was actually in your character doesn't know this, right? But the species that built it, right, they built it for small unit leaders. So like that whenever you're in contact with another ally, they get the benefit of the personal force field. Like it'd probably be that you could spend a momentum.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
To extend it to one other person.
What is that? A repeatable?
No, I think it might become too broken with the repeatable. Because let me think. So normally a personal force field is 2 escalation, 1 opportunity, right? But escalation is only paid once. So to outfit 3 people with personal force fields normally costs 5 resources, 2 threat and 3 momentum. And those people get to have those force fields even if they're not standing next to each other. This would allow you to instead spend 2 threat and 1 momentum to have the personal force field. And then some period later, right, you could spend the same amount of opportunity you would have spent to give them their own personal force fields. But it only lasts as long as they're next to you. And so yeah, I think that works. It's basically like basically the kind of the meta thing this gives you is you're just delaying the purchasing of personal force fields for everybody, right? You may not have the momentum when y'all are deciding to gear up, but then in the middle of the fight, when the captain's given a rally or something, now you have the momentum, and you wish you could go back and get those force fields, right? This gives you the ability to say, no, right? Your character has I'm imagining some kind of like device that fits over like the forearm or something, and you like tap away at it, and temporarily the personal force field extends over someone. So yes, I would let it be repeatable, but only yeah, I would let it be repeatable. I think I would put a limit of 5 on it, just so it's not like if you cram 100 people on a football pitch.
Yeah,
right?
just keep it like a squad size.
Yeah. So yeah, you can write that down. And you'll just have to put unknown personal force field, and then at some later date, will probably flesh that out when you come back into contact with whatever that type of technology was.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look up the stats for a personal force field.
Oh, 3 protection, 1 opportunity, 2 escalation. And let me put you the description. Because it's not like the other book where it's a challenge dice where you get 3 challenge dice and you like roll to see how much protection it gives you. It just straight up gives you 3 protection.
So it was 3 protection, what, 2 opportunity?
1 opportunity, 2 escalation.
Okay.
Oh yeah, frick! How could I forget? I'm glad I was able to get that in there as one last value. I do have a value, the canary in the coal mine.
Nice.
Because look, when something is wrong medically, you need to let people know. And when something is wrong medically with the crew, I need to let the captain know.
Is it going overboard to have the focuses helm operations, atmospheric flight, and combat maneuvers?
You went overboard a while ago.
I mean, yes, you're right. But does helm operations, in your mind, Winchester, just cover those other two?
Hello, can people hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Hi, my mic wasn't fully connected before, I think. My character's basically done. I just need to come up with values.
Oh, cool. Sorry, you were saying Winchester for the...
I wasn't. I was looking at your sheet.
Cool. Okay.
Combat, I would say, I would describe it like this. Atmospheric flight and combat maneuvers are sub-disciplines of helm operations. In the same way that alien propulsion systems is a subset of starship recognition. There are some times when the more narrowed focus, like combat maneuvers, will be useful, mostly when it relates to something someone else is doing, right? Helm operations isn't going to be useful when the captain asks, what is that ship doing? If they're doing a combat maneuver, right? Helm operations isn't going to help you on the roll to figure out what they're doing. But actually having the focus combat maneuvers would help you, because you don't just have generalist knowledge, you have specific knowledge. But 90%, like if you're actually trying to do the combat maneuver or the atmospheric flight, helm operations would cover it.
Well, I'm going to do combat maneuvers then, and then ditch atmospheric flight for something else. Because given the selection of talents I have, I think having a focus in combat maneuvers, like getting that granular, makes sense. It's like, oh yeah, no, I know what that is. So I'll keep that. It's like a fun, doesn't do very often, but can probably use it sometimes.
And atmospheric flight would help when you come into contact with lower tech species, too, because it would cover the knowledge of pre grav drive pre impulse and grav drive things like airplanes and hot air balloons and
by atmospheric flight in general.
Yeah.
God, I can't wait for the hot air balloon episode. That's happening now. You brought it up.
Yeah.
Yes.
Kind of fun.
Oh man, I tell you, there's definitely gonna be an instance in one of these games where, like, the ship is gonna have to fly in order to meet something in the atmosphere, and I'm gonna have to jump out of the ship in order to fly over to whatever it is.
Naturally.
Well, you weren't before, but you're gonna now. You just gave him the idea. Never give the GM ideas. It always works against you.
No, I've waited for this game now that no one's taken 0G operations. There's going to be a lot of 0G stuff going on, right?
I mean, I do have a focus in EVA.
And I will say
we're doing an EVA focus.
Well, no, I just got to take his magnetic boots away.
Well,
but he's helpless.
So I will say this: if I had been the one playing the con officer, I absolutely would have made like half of my build EVA stuff, because that's like what I want to do as a con officer. Is I want to do cool like EVA nonsense.
Someone's being shamed for their choices. I hear how it is.
Yeah, I see how it is.
That's the secret. I'm always being shamed for my choices.
No,
that's me. That's me in these games. I'm going to make one. There's going to be like a 2-Vix conundrum where there's no right answer, and I'm going to make a choice, and I will be judged for it for the rest of my life in this game. I know it's going to happen.
But you see, Carpenter, Penda's back, which means that it's open season on me again.
That's not necessarily true.
Okay. Yeah, no, I support this.
Terrible.
I have a weird reputation.
You've cultivated it, though.
I mean, yes, that is true.
Jeez. Okay. I think that is.
Think Thralic, there, your last two values are practically identical.
Yeah, I talked about that.
Yeah, I would change one of those.
Okay.
Oh, and that was the other thing. I think actually, Pinned, one of your focuses is supposed to be a hobby.
It's an addition. You get 1, 2, 3, 4. You get the 6 focuses as normal, and then the 7th one is a hobby. That's what you do in your pastime.
I just forgot to add that in.
I only have 5 focuses. Are we supposed to have 6 plus pastime? I may have missed one.
Yeah. Let me double check.
Okay, do I want to keep speed as a drug or full throttle or nothing? I have to get one.
Oh, I had this. Whoopsie. That's okay.
I think speed as a drug speaks to the character more.
By the by, GM, my sheet is done aside from entering the weapon. Filling in.
Mine is
my sheet's done. I'm just coming up with values.
Yeah, I think I'm just gonna wait. I'm just gonna wait until I've been told I'm wrong.
Oh, I should enter the.
Wait, are we supposed to have 5 talents?
No. You have 4 talents, and some people I think may have listed their species special ability under their species and traits, and some may have listed it under talent.
Oh,
because it works like a talent. It doesn't work like a trait. You get the trait Vulcan, and then you also get the species special ability, which has its own name.
Okay, so what I think the system does then in that case is it lets me just pick one of the it lets me pick one of the species 1E talents as its special trait, because the Aurelians don't have a 2E entry yet.
Yeah.
So that's what it did. It let me. That's what the purpose of that was. Got it.
Oh, in that case, I should probably put that on my sheet so I can know look that right. That is basically a talent.
Yeah, like I used the category to just tag it with species ability rather than whatever else I tagged something with.
Mm-hmm. And then,
oops, no, don't open. Thanks, computer.
Okay, so yeah, a pastime is kind of a 7th focus. Not really. It can be used as a focus if it comes up, but it's not really a focus. It's not like, it's kind of a weird thing. It doesn't read like you have 7 focuses, one of them is a hobby. It's you have a pastime, and if something related to that pastime comes up, the game master might let you use it as a focus.
Yeah, because pastimes aren't supposed to come up all the time. They come up sometimes. Like, I might be able to use Calto as a, actually, I should mark that focus as pastime.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Okay. Oh, a countercultural Andorian who's not big into hockey but loves football.
Wait. Important question. Which football?
That is an important question.
The one where you actually use your feet, but I do understand American football as well.
Well, use your feet in American football. It just requires a very specific circumstance, because despite America being culturally stereotyped as being loud, boisterous, and dumb, American football is the most convoluted and rules-lawyered sport ever invented.
Well, actually, it's not. You can't even really say that. It's not that under a specific set of circumstances you do. It's that under a specific set of circumstances, one guy on the team does. No one else ever does.
On the field there's one guy on each team who knows how to kick a ball.
There used to be a rule.
Job.
No. See, here's the thing, though. Pend, I will note this because I had to deal with it over the course of this weekend. I know for a fact that that folks in Ireland don't mind American football because Georgia Tech and Florida State played a game over in Ireland while I was going to that wedding, and just by God, the travel nightmare.
Oh yeah,
it made for me coming back.
See, is that a question of the Irish liking American football, or the Irish loving an excuse to fill in a stadium and drink together?
It's the second one.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, isn't Gaelic football and rugby almost the exact? It's basically in the same family of sports.
I can go into that one.
Okay,
so
they are broadly similar.
Can of worms.
Who doesn't know much about either.
So Gaelic football. Here's the fun part of that. Every 3 steps, you either have to bounce the ball up with your hand or kick it up with your foot, to go the entire length of the field, and there's 2 ways to score. So there's 2 scores for each team, and if you score in a, like, I'd say, I was just call it a soccer goal for the ones who refuse to call it football. If you score in that one, that counts as more of a single point than it does if you score over the one where you'd kick a conversion. So each are separate points. So, but the ones in the goal count more than the conversion points.
But they're still only like written down as 1 point.
Yeah, so a score could technically be 5-17 for one team, and the other team could be 4-20. But the team who scored the 5 and 17 would win.
Because they got the 5.
I bought a book, like 100-year-old textbook on medieval England, just because I happened to come across it when I was in India. And flipping through it, it had a pretty interesting description of medieval English football, where all of these come from, which was basically like everyone in the town kind of gets together in a field or just like in the middle of town, and there's a ball, and that's pretty much all the rules. It's just kind of like a brawl that has a ball and the town involved.
Pretty much. Oh, and Gaelic football is only slightly different than Aussie rules.
Because of course it is.
Yeah, because the Australians want to play Gaelic football but they don't want to call it Gaelic football because the Australians, even though they love the Irish, don't want to admit that they love the Irish, so they have to call it Aussie rules.
Oh, the other thing, I do know that there were some folks who were into the game there that weekend, because I guess the star player for Georgia Tech is like actually from Ireland.
So you got
that path in life to take.
So
yeah, is that actually from Ireland or someone in America who's like 10 generations before came from Ireland and they call themselves Irish?
No. I believe like he was actually from Ireland, like went to America to go to Georgia Tech, and then like got onto the football team and became like the star player.
Good for them.
So, like, I think there was also definitely an element of that's our countryman heading up the team. So,
well, just be glad he didn't play for Notre Dame.
I don't follow sports, so I only cared about this in so much as it made my travel back from this wedding really, really frustrating.
Why, where's about in Ireland were you?
I was jumping between. I spent a couple days. I spent a day in Dublin, but then went up to Northern Ireland. Spent a couple days in Newcastle. And then I forget the name of the other town we were in, but there was a castle, and that's where the wedding was.
To be
That's
fair,
half of Ireland.
Yeah, most places in Ireland either have Bally or Castle in their name.
I mean, half the towns in the English-speaking world have, one of like 4 common suffixes, blank field or Blanksville or whatever else.
Mouth.
Mm-hmm.
I'm from an Mouth town.
Every 3rd town in Germany ends in Berg, because Berg just meant like fortified settlement.
Yep.
Zen, do you have the token border thing for applying those? I feel like I remember you did.
It's in the thing.
In the what?
These are actually
the
I think, slightly
generator.
different than the ones that are on the I think these are ones that are actually, the one I have is actually slightly different than the ones that are in the generator.
Yeah, because I have an image that Rilo sent me to use as my character portrait.
I have to. I think it's in might even be here somewhere. It's in resources.
I mean, that's the only one I use for non-stat or mostly.
Yeah, I use that one just for like regular tokens most of the time, but I was like, I could try to get the list of Starfleet stuff on it. And if someone has that, I just, send the image, but it's not worth it.
Oh, here it is. Found it. Okay. It's,
God, I feel like Chief Aratana needs a 6-shooter.
No, here.
That is the exact image I wanted to get in your head. Yep.
You want like an officially licensed cowboy hat?
Well, they would wear it, but they would wear it, but unfortunately, it's not standard issue, so they weren't allowed to keep it with them when they joined Starfleet. So.
No, like the first time y'all come across a smuggler on an outpost, like your chief of security is gonna like spit out a bunch of dip and like go on a monologue.
Chief Griffin, there sent you a thing in Andromeda chat.
Yep, I see that. I just don't know how to work it.
Yeah, I can't wait for us to swap to Traveler, but only for the shootout scenes. That way you can actually do the thing where both people draw at the same time and whoever shoots first wins the fight.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, my.
So how'd you get Cybernetic Ear's trait without the talent Cybernetics?
It's a prosthetic. It's because in my past I got an injury, so it's like I have replacement ears, but they're not like they're just enough for normal Vulcan hearing. They're not much better.
Okay, so that came from Rolling Background.
Yeah.
And so did former Civil Colony Security.
No, I just added that one to story wise. Because like that's what I was thinking of him being someone who used to as a Vulcan, because Vulcans are long lived. It's like, well, I used to be civil colonial security way back when, and then it's like, well, I could join Starfleet because the Klingon War is getting pretty bad, and being a frontier security guy isn't terribly helpful right now. It's better I join up, go to the Mars Technical, get certified, be on a crew, and start working my way up the ranks.
That's the thing, right?
So
I don't know how. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
The only thing with that line of thought is that the war lasted for a year and has only been over for 3 years.
So there's probably some other frontier conflict. Pirates probably it would be.
Yeah.
Around. Like pirates got really bad in the frontier. It's like, look, I'm doing a lot of stuff and good for me, but like it'd be nice to be on a starship that can make a difference. I'm just a guy with like a little house in some prefab colony. I'm doing okay, but there's only so much you can do without a starship, without Starfleet being at your back, so. Plus you get special training and ships and stuff. So. Also making senior Chief Master at Arms, I've probably been in service for a while. Like, I may have been able to skip a couple of ranks in crewman early on because I served before, but it's like, yeah, but to get the Senior Chief, you do have to serve for a little bit to get there. Like, stay within Starfleet, I mean. Like, oh, you're involved in such and such conflict, in the current Klingon conflict? No, the other one, with the Orions, the second invasion of whatever. It's like, that was like 50 years ago. What are you talking about? Like, oh, okay, that was a while ago, wasn't it? Or something like that. No, wrong war. I just happened to be in service long enough that I've been caught up in multiple Starfleet wars, so go me, I guess. But he's less a ship-to-ship. I mean, he's learning ship-to-ship stuff. Like, that's one of the focuses he learned in Starfleet, but he's a lot more of a personal, like, ship security or away team security. Officer. Security crewman. sort of Western trope. Well, not Western trope, but like the Western idea of like, I do have a 6-shooter, but I don't need it. I will just take yours. Or I'm not gonna let you draw. Why? I'm just gonna grab your arm. Or in this case, nerf pinch. Can't draw if I knock you out.
Makes sense.
And the one thing that's truly stereotypical Vulcan being, what's your pastime? Calto. It's like, wait, you're a 6-shooter, frontier security guy. That's why I'm still Vulcan. I still Calto's a good time to pass time. It's a hard game.
Oh yeah, I took Freya, the Vulcan loot.
Good pastime.
Oh. We will definitely be playing games of Calto sidelines, even if you will probably win most of them.
Yeah. It's like, why do you keep it's like I do so much better in solitaire, but when I play against you, Aratana, I keep losing. It's more of an attacker's game, really. I don't have to win. I just have to keep making you screw up. I have to make it harder for you than it is for me.
So I think my question is, would you need me to be more specific than just board games?
No.
Okay.
It's gonna be about like, board gamings in general, really.
Yeah, because I think it's kind of funny to imagine that every time you see the Doctor, he's playing like a new board game.
Jeez, that's what I would be doing in the far future. What are you talking?
And like,
so I'm just double checking because I do want to be fair. I think the former civil colonial security has to be just biographical information at this point, because this edition really cares about the power of traits.
Which is
so
unless it's come from somewhere you spent to get it.
No.
I'm afraid it would unbalance things.
No, that's fine.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with the information being true. It's just, can you get a difficulty increase or decrease from it?
Yeah, and I would think not really. Like even if I could attach it to an event, which I really couldn't. There's nothing that gives something like that. Not really, because I imagine Starfleet stuff is a much different scale than what he does. Like, look, it's one thing to break up a bar fight at some colony 50 years ago. It's like Starship stuff is a very different monster. I deal with humans and Vulcans mainly, and maybe an Andorian. Now I have to deal with those species and every other species we encounter out in space. Also, I'm not allowed to just grab whoever I want and throw them in the brig. Like, no. There's Starfleet protocols are a thing. You can't do that. Like,
you
can't just shoot people. It's like, I shot him with stun. You still can't just shoot people for stun, Chief. Like, oh. Need to have a good reason. Fine. Nerve pinch then. That's better, I guess. No, I like that. I wasn't sure of that myself either. It's like, I'll put that there, but I agree with you though, because you're right. Second Ed does have that. Traits are a lot more powerful in second than they are in first. First, they're just kind of like, you can point it out, but yeah, you know what I mean. It's easier to shrug it off.
And you have the option of choosing between Chief of Security and Chief Tactical Officer. The name of your job won't change, but the role benefit you could select, because the ship doesn't have room for both of those people. Which means, I guess, you could take multi-role if you wanted. And that would represent, it's not that I'm doing the job of 2 people. It's that we can't have that second person. So now, rather than one person doing the job of 2 people, it's that, but also we never had the chance to get that second person anyways. But even without that, you could choose one of them.
This is going to be helpful. I have found I have a science talent that is actually, I've realized just how useful it is going to be on a medical officer. I have the talent that lets me ignore resistance on extended tasks when using reason or control. And that's usually surgery.
When would that ever come up?
Anyways, my character's basically done.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
You're fine. I'm still thinking of values. I might change them, but they are what they are right now.
I'll probably take multi-discipline later. I'll choose which one. I'll be chief, just because.
Oh, and right now you're limited to chief, master at arms because the chief of the boat is only a senior chief petty officer. He didn't decide to take master chief.
Oh.
Which might be a great thing when if Thal moves up to Master Chief. That might be a great narrative moment to both aim for becoming Senior Chief and multi-role.
Yeah. Because, there could be that sense of, I mainly was a ground or colony security or station security. It's like, well, now you're ship security. You really should learn more about you know about tactical systems, but you need to be a tactical officer more often. Why? There's not a dedicated tactical guy on the boat. We're an archer class. What do you want us to do? Either one or the other. It's like, well, I'm good at ship security and away team security. I'll get better at ship fighting later. I'm pretty good now, but I'll get better as I work on the ship. The archer class is a newer class as well. Narratively, I'm not used to archer class weapons
yet. It's not more heavily armed or armed with newer weapons than anything came before, but it is much faster, which I feel like means that whereas most of the time in the past you could only bring especially someone who lived out on the edge of the Federation, your choices were really old civilian converted vessel that has basically a mining laser, or full bore Constitution brimming with torpedoes, right? There's rarely been a chance in the past where you could have an appropriately armed and sized ship for colony problems.
Yeah.
So like
you're either overkill or underkill.
Yeah, it might be the first time. If the Constitution's never showed up to your problem, it might be that hey, we don't have to use a mining laser. We have actual phase. There's a torpedo bay on this. It's a single one. It fires a single torpedo at a time, but hey, it actually has torpedoes.
I have a question. How are weapon amounts for like personal weapons calculated nowadays?
You'll have to let me not get sidetracked and finally get to the captain's sheet, and then I'll come back.
Because this is the last thing I have to do.
You should definitely have more traits than just Vulcan.
Oh, what are the other traits I should have?
You should at least have, I think it's Starfleet officer. It depends. In the when you did your background, what track did you choose?
Engineering. Because we talked about it, so I decided she was an engineering officer who's been recently promoted into. So
you so
where in the book does it talk about
operations track 122. You gain the trait Starfleet Officer, which is the same for the command track. Both of them gain the same one. It's the sciences track that gains Starfleet Officer, but also the science track gains a second trait related to their advanced degree, which I did need to double check the doctor sheet that you did that.
Yeah, it could be a physician as well.
Yeah, that's something you need to do, Vin, is you're missing both of your traits from your track.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to figure out.
You definitely get Starfleet Officer. The second thing is, what was your advanced degree in? Was it as a physician? Was it as a surgeon? A psychiatrist? Basically, whatever your degree was in, put that as a trait.
And where?
This page,
I'm just trying to. I
122, but it only gives 2 examples.
Yeah, it's fine. I want to read the language myself.
Yep, 122 under the sciences track.
Okay. Okay.
All right, I have a token now.
I
don't believe you.
Oh,
damn. I think everything's right on your sheet.
Okay.
Still need to figure out my 4th value. Also, for my role, is that navigator?
Your choice. The ship doesn't have a commissioned officer for con, right?
Yeah.
So unless, go ahead and take what you want.
Does TUI have details for those positions?
Yes.
I don't know what they are. Did I get the options then?
Yes. 1 second.
Thank you.
Yeah, I can grab that.
Cool. No, we're done with them. We've moved on.
No. That.
Thank you.
Oh, and really important to your decision is we kind of got ahead on the character creation. I didn't get us around to console layout because that's not a trivial thing.
Right.
And yeah, you can take flight net controller or navigator, but whether or not navigator is particularly useful or not is going to depend on what y'all decide on the console layouts.
Check.
Well,
I'd like to be able to fly the ship, so I think we should have helm.
You definitely can take flight controller, and if you you also have the option to take multi-role and take any of operations manager or navigator, so long as Rylov doesn't take them.
Yeah. I'm looking at these and they both kind of do things I can already do is the thing. Because I have the flyby plus multitasking. So I can do tasks that don't normally allow con with con already.
But you generate bonus momentum as flight control for either of them.
It's true. It's true.
Or rather, no. If flight control, you get a bonus, and then navigator gives you the spend to get
It would really depend how related they are on the specific language, because this is not just because this is any engineering task that is connected to flight or propulsion, and that or propulsion is major. Right. That or propulsion starts bringing in the use of con when working on the warp core.
Oh, yeah, that's
right. So I think that role benefit might actually cover some gaps that the talent does.
Yeah. I think, flight controller is probably closer to what I'm going for than navigator is.
Because also, I mean, if the role covers what the talent does and more, then that's just grounds to get a new talent that does something else, and then you cover even more than you did before.
Well, multitasking allows me to use con instead of anything else when I override.
That is a big thing. Override probably doesn't mean what you think it means.
Okay. It's something new now?
Yes. So you're not finished with your values yet, so I'll come back to those because I'm now getting distracted by another thing.
Now here's the question. Here's another.
Hold on, let me get through us talking a while before. Because actually, I don't know when everybody wants to get off because we've definitely gone too past to do anything tonight. But let me get us handling these consoles so that everybody knows what they're doing in that regard before we get sidetracked again. So if you look at the ship's sheet on the bio and info section, I have some of the options for bridge stations. Layout wise, I feel it's appropriate to limit y'all to 6 stations, not including command, which means which you can see I've listed because navigation is not a separate station. Navigation gets added to helm, but it does count as a separate. It's like the helm and navigation are together, but it still takes 2 people. Is my reading of how that works. So you're going to get the command station regardless. Comms is not required. It does call out that many ships have a dedicated comm station in this time period, but it's not universally required. The benefit to having it is you reduce your difficulty for comms to do communication related tasks. So it's just having this console available helps rather than enables, right? You you can already do comms from a multi-role console or a command chair or a operations chair, right? But having a dedicated comms lets you get reduced difficulties. A helm console, I don't really even think I would consider this one optional. You kind of have to have a helms console. What's optional is you can have the helm include navigation. But it doesn't call out that there's a separate navigation console, which is why my understanding is that, like in TOS, having a navigation add-on does not mean the Helm's console now does navigation. It means you now have like a super console that takes 2 people and does Helm and navigation.
Didn't they also have weapons up there in TOS?
Oh wait, hold on a second. Hold on. Yeah, because okay, this is what it says. This console often also provides access to astronavigation and sensor systems, but some bridges have a separate navigation console with a 2-person Helm and Navigator team.
I feel like we're small enough that it's probably collapsed into 1 person, honestly.
Yeah.
Actually, I think I missed that sentence, and I think it might actually be you can have Helm and navigation, or you can have them in the same console. You don't.
I would prefer to have them in the same console, personally.
It makes sense if you have a pilot and a navigator character. It's like, well, my thing is just navigation. You just focus on flying. I'll do the nav stuff. I'll help you with that. Well, I'll use my major actions to do nav stuff, while you use your major actions to do flying stuff. Whereas you kind of have to do both at the same time.
Okay, because all it gives you no benefit. All it does is having the included navigation allows you to operate sensors and access star charts, but you don't get any pluses or minuses to difficulty. And this is what I meant by saying overriding. Overriding is a specific thing you do to multi-role consoles. You don't turn your Helm console into a tactical console. You're never going to fire the phasers from Helm, right? You're going to go to the tactical console. What you can do is go to a multi-role console and bring up one of the 3 things that a multi-role console can do, which is engineering, environment controls, and mission operations, right? But you don't.
So override is very different in 2E then.
Yeah, override specifically, unless that is my understanding, I don't actually see anywhere where it talks about overriding as something you can do, but it does talk about mission consoles being a thing you set up what the console does and you get a benefit from it. But let me double check I'm not robbing you here.
Yeah,
because what's the name of the talent again?
It's called multitasking.
And it's a con something plus tab.
Yeah. I believe it's a con. It's either 3 or 4 plus. So when you attempt the override,
did you use the roller online?
Yeah, I did.
I'm thinking, yeah, without having any information to back this up yet, my first thought is it did to you what it did to Bob, and it gave you a talent that's only in 1E. But I'm double checking.
I was under the impression that the talents were mostly able to be cross-utilized, but
90% of them are.
158.
Yeah.
158. Okay. Override major action that includes one or both Helm or Navigator positions. Okay, so it does call out it's an override action at the Helm or the Nav, which defeats what I thought was going on. So now what I need to do is go to operation. No, it's conflict.
Each 300 has override action. At least the chart does.
Yeah. Okay, no, I eat my words. Override works exactly how it did before. You may attempt a major action from any other position other than command officer, but by increasing the difficulty by 1 due to suboptimal controls.
Yeah.
But that talent only allows you to do it from the Helm or Navigator console.
Correct.
Which
yeah,
means,
but the idea is that with that and flyby, I can fairly effectively do piloting plus something else if I need to.
Yeah. So to give you an answer on whether or not the flight officer role is useful, it's going to be useful as many times as you get yourself down to engineering to help out. It's not going to be useful from the bridge because you've already got things to help with that.
Yeah.
But oh, actually, I take that back. It will help
if you
useful, actually try to reduce the diff by walking over to the engineer's console, right?
So the first sentence helps out of combat, basically, if I'm doing con-related stuff somewhere else or at a different console. The second sentence of contest pilot a starship, you generate a bonus momentum is useful just generally, which I kind of missed when I was looking over it initially.
Yeah, I mean the yes. I mean specifically where it calls out engineering tasks related to propulsion.
Yeah.
That propulsion being there is a huge part of the benefit, because that means working on the warp core or the impulse drives, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I've gotten sidetracked again.
You're good.
Actually, I've gotten off of my sidetrack back onto the main track, and now we're getting sidetracked again by consoles.
Yeah.
Because I will get consoles handed before I let y'all go.
I just want to make sure all my stuff is good.
And we can do that, but you will not get me off of consoles. I am on consoles.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna leave it like it is. Helm plus navigation. So you are allowed to do navigation. The navigation station and the helm station are one. You do not get penalties from doing navigation tasks or sensor tasks from helm.
Okay.
You don't get the benefits of the science station though. Like there is
right. Like I'm just doing it like flat with no.
You get no penalty from using sensors from helm, but you are missing out on some benefits by doing it from there.
Makes sense.
All right, so I put down one multi-role console. So right now, y'all, we've talked about command station. We're not counting the comms and the helm plus navigation. That's 2, right? So this would be your third out of 6. This one can do engineering, environment, or mission operations. You have to set it up. You create a trait, basically. And now that console is set up to do that thing, and it reduces the difficulty for tasks related to that by 1. And this covers all that stuff y'all love, we love to do about like, I wanna patch my comms through them to talk to some third person, or I want to read off of their tricorders. All of that, like wire the ship into some part of the mission, that actually needs you, or you actually can get help from the ship on that by taking the time to configure one of the multi-role consoles to do mission operations.
And the language, from my understanding, is that those are common configurations, so it doesn't have to be specifically engineering, environment, mission operations, but it can't be something like that already exists, like science or operations or tactical. It's for the other stuff. It's for nice, the edge case stuff you wouldn't normally need a dedicated console for 24/7.
Yes, you would not be able to use it to get any of the benefits listed for any of the other consoles, but you could use it to get something that's not necessarily listed under multi-role console.
Mm-hmm.
So we have one of those. That brings you to 3. We have a science station, which allows you access to sensors. You can use probes, and you have the access to analyze information, which is different. You don't necessarily get full access to the ship's computers when you're using the helm. So if you have like, if you scan something and you need the computer to crunch the numbers, you want to be at science, even though the helm has access to the sensors. Because you get assisted by computer science and you get a reduce in difficulty. So we've got that one. The next one I put was tactical console, which is kind of just required because that's how you shoot the weapons and use the shields. So really the question is, you could have a second command station. You could have you could separate helm and navigation, which I think you would only want to do if Rylov particularly wants to get involved in one of those. Like if he would rather be at the nav console than the science console.
He's here right now.
Yeah, yeah. So if he doesn't, if you don't want, if that doesn't sound like what you want to do, then it's probably an additional command station, an additional multi-role, or an additional one of the others listed.
I mean, maybe I'm misunderstanding, but I feel like having an additional multi-role is probably the most valuable, right?
Yeah, I mean, we're going to be doing a lot of different things as a patrol boat, so why
not? Yes, but if you wanted to be generalist, yes. If you wanted 2 people using sensors and crunching the numbers at the same time, then a second science console, right? If you want 2 people to be able to use the weapons and shields without getting a penalty, right, then you would actually want a second tactical console.
Got it.
And it specifically calls out...
Actually, regenerating shields like an ops thing. Tactical.
So operations gives you access to regenerating shields, but tactical also calls out specifically that
it does weapons and shields. Yeah,
it does weapons and shields. There's kind of a there's kind of like soft power and like mechanical power in the consoles.
Yeah.
Like the being able to use the sensors on the helm console is kind of like a soft power. It doesn't have like true mechanical weight to it, but it's gonna come up narratively.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you can have. Yeah, first of all, I don't have an operations station set up, right? So I didn't add that one. So
what else does operations do?
Internal systems, allocation of power, computing resources, communications, sensors. It's kind of like a catch-all. You can't do everything, but you can do almost everything from operations.
I like that as our final console then, honestly.
Yeah, having a general ship operations console is probably not a bad thing for us.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me too.
So with the idea that you don't have a dedicated communications officer, right? Lieutenant Ivrini, Rylov's character, right, is kind of
Inverni
is in command of the three people involved in science, ops, navigation, helm, right? So do you think Ivrini is going to spend most of the time at science or ops? And will they ever find themselves at the comm station? Because if Ivrini is not going to find themselves at the comms station, then you might not want a dedicated comms station. Just let operations handle it and give up that benefit of the -1 to comms checks, and instead put in a different console, right? Because right now you've to condense what I'm trying to say, you have one player character who is in command and generally expected to be using 3 different consoles on the bridge right now. Whereas you have a senior chief who's half engineering, half is like 1/3 security, 1/3 engineering, 1/3 command. But you already only have 1 command and 1 tactical station. So I'm thinking y'all may get benefit out of dropping the comms station.
Well, I was going to ask, what is the comms role?
If we have an ops station, ops can handle comms, right? Like
it can. You just don't get the -1 difficulty to comms checks.
I think that's fine for a patrol ship, honestly.
Yeah, I do like comms for the TOS flavor and flair. That you know, this was a time where that was more important and harder to do. However, this is not a ship the size of the Enterprise that has like 12 odd consoles in its bridge. We have half as many, so that consolidation makes sense to me.
Yeah, so what's the mechanical role for comms? Is it like
comms is communications plus engineering for the ship, but for you, I mean it's communications is mostly engineering. Occasionally, very occasionally, it might be science.
So I mean, if we wanted to keep a comm station, I could fill in there.
Communications can also be security.
Yeah, for doing encryption and stuff like that, but tactical allows you to do that as well, I think. Yeah, tactical allows you to encrypt signals. You're just not going to get the -1 to difficulty.
So we'd be swapping out the comms console then for a duplicate of one of the other consoles.
You could. I don't want to push you in any direction, but you do comms, everything comms can do, another station can do, but comms gives you that -1 to difficulty. But the most important thing to keep in mind is that right now the ship's layout, Ivrini would be responsible for basically 3 consoles, and you don't have enough supporting characters to even always take use of all of Ivrini's specialists under her command, right, to use those consoles. So from a practical standpoint, you probably want a console that either the doctor or the chief engine or the chief of the boat can use to supplement one of the other areas, rather than try to have Ivrini run 3 things at once.
Oh, I don't know what station would be right for me, so I'll just say
another tactical, another con, or actually you're pretty flexible, right? you could make use of another command station. You could make use of another multi-role console that can do engineering and mission operations, and you could make use of another tactical. You could even make use of another operations console, but that might be a little bit redundant, being that you would have operations and science and multi-role for engineering.
I feel like maybe going second tactical so that we can fight just that little bit better. We're trying to like eke out the little bits of making this scale 2 ship fight
into a gunboat with all of our talents and points, and now consoles going to tactical.
Well, so here's the thing. This is a patrol ship. It's supposed to be able to handle itself in a fight. It's also a scale 2 ship. It has difficulty handling itself in a fight. So if we can, like, I don't think it's like really making it into a gunboat to give ourselves a little bit more of a tactical edge. It's allowing us to perform our mission parameter.
I guess that's true, but also, the road to war is paved with just a little bit more militarism.
I mean,
that is not the quote, but
it was a quote I just made up. Okay, it's now the quote.
My source is I made it the fuck up.
My source is me.
So yeah, you could definitely do tactical. The only discounting command, the only other one that might be equally as beneficial is another multi-role, because it can do so many things. But
can multi-role perform any like tactical operations if need be?
It can be overridden to do them, but it can't be set up to do them without a penalty. Right. But you could do that with any console.
Yeah.
But
and I can do that and shoot with con.
Yeah.
Yeah. So is that enough? Is that anyone really not want it to be tactical, or really want it to be something else?
So
I will let it be tactical.
So other than command, currently on the sheet we have 6 things, right? So what are we swapping out?
We were swapping out.
Hold on, I didn't have the latest changes saved.
Okay. Helm nav, multi-role, science, tac, ops. Okay.
Yeah, it was swapping out communications for tactical, because your executive officer was trying to do too many things.
Typical executives.
I can handle it.
Which actually, the way that works, like say we're going like hyper tactical, we need to have every tactical and even the pilot. We're all doing a thing, or it's like we don't need that much tactical, but we need somebody there. So either me or the chief can go, like either me or the master of the boat go. We're gonna walk away from our tactical to do the multi-role. We're gonna help out somewhere else, or I'm gonna leave the bridge and do something. I have to go away. It's like, well, the other person's at tactical. We have 2 chairs, so we're good. Like tactical is never not being manned by somebody, basically, with this setup. Yeah, it makes my job easier. I'm not complaining.
Just putting together the sheet now. Well, I mean, putting it into Roll20 now.
Yeah. Winchester, I think my sheet is complete. If you want to take a final glance over it.
Oh yeah, I have to hand edit my stress because.
Oh right,
I messaged this, but I think all of the sheets have the incorrect stress tracker because it's going off of how 1 calculated stress, not 2E.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna hand it.
I mean, it's still a 1E sheet, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just your fitness or other things for some species.
Yeah, your stress is fitness unless you have some special thing that makes it something.
Cool. God, stress of 9. That sucks.
Getting injured is easy in 2E. Like 2E feels just on first blush feels deadlier because of that. Because it's like your stress is a little lower, and even getting hurt a little bit still bad. Like 50% shield for a ship is still bad.
Right.
Which I'm in favor of. It makes it feel more.
Yeah.
1E it's very hard to die unless the GM absolutely hates you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hated all of you, and I tried so much.
So yeah, if
I
y'all
wanted
can
to ask which
through and
of
set your
these
stress up.
stations on the map are which. If there's preferences.
I
mean, I was assuming this one would probably be Helm because it's got the two thingies next to each other, which looks like nav.
Actually,
but
I didn't set these up, but both of those panels are tactically related. They're phaser and power management. I assumed this one would be Helm and Con because it's like the double panel, like two people working on the same thing at once.
I thought we weren't doing that specifically, though.
You're not, but I didn't know that when I made this.
Got it. Got it.
But they're not like hard set. They can be whatever you want them to be.
Yeah.
This might be like Helm.
The thing is also the map is kind of too small for me to give a note on that. That's why I put it in the bio and info. Out of practice, we may be able to remember and say like, hey, this one at the back here, we're always remembering that one is second tactical or whatever. But there's not a good way for me to.
You would have to put a letter. You'd have to put a letter on each seat. That'd be the most you could do with this.
And it would crowd it out, and you wouldn't be able to see it with tokens down and stuff. There's so little area.
The best way to do it, I think, would be in bio and info. Note top left, middle left, bottom left, top right, middle right, bottom right.
Yeah.
Okay, well, it's y'all's ship, so you tell me.
I mean, like I said, I want top left to be Con.
Oh god, that's gonna be weird. Not facing
I'm gonna sit
forward,
here, and the rest of you people can figure out where you're all gonna sit.
Exactly.
I'm actually thinking me and the Master Boat are like are in these two seats, like here and here, because we're both tactical, so we're both addressing the same thing.
Adjacent,
yeah. Like we're both tactical. Yes, we need to talk to each other without drowning out the bridge.
And then if this is the Con person, that could be the Science XO, because then they're also.
That's probably multi-role there, or that is one of these. Well, obviously by process of elimination, that's how that works, sir. Sorry, I'm just making fun of myself.
I only came in partway through. You'll figure out what is what and what. I don't necessarily know what any of this means. So
no, you're right. I agree with you. Your call is correct. My brain's going like Doi.
So
ops
as Science XO, do you want the operation station next to you, or do you want multi-role next to you?
That's a
thought. I'm thinking you kind of would want operations, because that means all the people and areas under your direct command are on your side of the bridge.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm sitting here, wouldn't it be like operations there and then multi-role there, or do we have like that's nav and that the
it'll
operations?
Be Con and it'll be Helm and navigation smashed together, Science, which is you, and then operations.
Yeah, that makes sense for like everyone they can just lean to talk to, and then if they need to talk to them, they can because they're in the same room. But and then also right next to the captain, so like little spinny chair they can just.
Bottom right was multi-role.
Yeah, it's the only one left.
Which makes sense. It's kind of out of the way. It's like it's not a thing someone's there, but it's like
It's only when the NPC engineer needs to show up, right?
Yeah.
No.
One of us walks over and goes, "Excuse me, I need to sit there real quick. Thank you." Do you normally sit here? No, that's why it's out of the way.
So I made the sheet using that character creator thing that says second E on it, but I don't know any of the rules for 2E, so I don't know if any of these things are actually wrong.
There might at least with the impossible to say Chief of the Boat's last name.
Just say the first name.
Except for Chief Thal there. Actually, for him, it did allow him to take a talent that's not in the book anymore.
That's Chazalok. That's That's quite simple.
No, I said Chazalok, but he said no. Say the first name.
Well,
Yeah,
he's
because
being
I know
pedantic.
how difficult it is for people to pronounce Andorian last names.
You can get used to it. We can get used to it. You're the one that chose an Andorian with a name.
Yeah, you could
Andorian with a
chose
name.
an Anar where you only get a first name and clan doesn't really matter.
To be fair,
How many years did we have everyone have troubles pronouncing Shishishre? And we just went, oh, it's
you just did. You just did, though.
Yeah, I did.
A lot of us say sure quite easily.
Yeah,
it took years for a lot of people to fucking get to that stage. It's like, oh, that's an Andorian name.
Yeah.
Oh, it is. Andorian's like, oh, it's perfectly simple. Everyone else, our names that you have a lot of consonants in your names.
And to be fair, I've got a human with a human name, and people are still having problems with it.
Yeah.
What?
Lieutenant
They're
Annie.
just very Italian.
Inverni.
Inverni.
Inverni. I think I have that for
Don't
dinner
know
last
what the
week.
end of that was, but you tried.
Hey, look, I've seen The Godfather. I'm basically, you know.
That's how that works, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It would be helpful if you, for stuff like Faith of the Heart, if you put that's a species talent.
Yeah, I just put parentheses around mine that says it's a species.
Yeah,
talent.
I did that too.
Or you can put it in the
talent category.
Yeah, you can put it in the talent category and it'll show up.
Will it? Oh,
Yeah, it will.
good.
That's
Well,
how I've done all mine. Yeah, it's really useful.
Yeah, just post it in this description.
Every time I've tried to type it, someone's clicked it.
Well, hey, you probably didn't ask me to look over your sheet, but I am. So
No, I asked you to look over my sheet.
okay.
By all means, go ahead.
Also, Italian. You're missing a trait. You're actually missing 2 traits, I think. Because did you choose to go the sciences track?
Yeah, the sheet literally just has 1 trait on it as well, so it didn't give me more than 1.
Okay, so you're special.
Yeah.
You get that you're human, not all humans, literally. And you get Starfleet officer, and you get a 3rd one, which is related to your advanced training. So basically, like whatever
Your degree,
masters or postdoctorate you got, right?
Oh.
Whatever your advanced training is, you also get a trait for that.
Snarkology.
The two suggested in the book are both for medical officers who took the sciences track, which is physician and psychiatrist, but you can choose a different one.
Whatever
which
your
is,
degree
I mean,
was.
yeah, because that's the difference between someone who took the operations track and the sciences track as an ops officer or science officer, right? You are more science focused.
Well, sciences track gives you science or medicine. Ops track gives you engineering or security.
Yeah, snarkology.
Yep.
It's an actual trait. It has a mechanical benefit, though, so you actually might want to have a real trait.
If it gives me a benefit to being snarky, that'd be brilliant.
Only if you're saying that you understand snark on an academic level.
Yes.
And then the answer would still be no. Because you're not a Vulcan.
I am so happy the Lieutenant Commander also has an engineering of not 1.
Yeah, no, she went up through the engineering track. I didn't take any engineering talents because I only had so many talents to take, and But she's an engineering of 4, and 3 of her focuses are engineering focuses. So she will spend a lot of time working with the engineering department on engineering things because she's good at it, and there aren't very many people around here. So
I mean, I've also got 4 in engineering and no talents. But it's a case of I'm looking through like the named character. It's like, huh, am I the only one with an actual engineering skill? Everyone seems to have a 1. Oh no!
I've got a 2. I don't have a 1 in anything.
Not that you need it though. I suppose for non-piloting thing, non-engine stuff.
Yeah, like the idea with taking like I have 4 2s, is like a little bit of like I can manage in something else if I need to.
Yeah.
Oh.
Italian.
Yes.
You should keep track of if you're not taking multi-role as a talent, what role you're actively getting the benefit from most of the time, because you can choose at the start of each adventure rather than be locked into one, but it will become important eventually because you and Specialist Griffin here are basically in charge of 3 departments. Y'all might actually limit each other from certain multi-role paths if you both end up taking it. So that'll be important to like when y'all actually get to the point of having taken getting 2 or 3 milestones, it might come up.
Mm-hmm. Who's Griffin?
That's me.
Yeah.
Gwendolyn?
Yeah. Griffin.
Oh, Gwendolyn Griffin. Okay.
Gwendolyn Griffin. Yeah. It doesn't
show up. Such a long name.
It doesn't show up because of the rank.
It would work for a Marvel comic book character.
I was going to say, it's not a very whimsical, like this is absolutely the name of a Doctor Who companion, the first Welsh Doctor Who companion.
Ooh. Oh God. Yeah. I should be Welsh.
Gwendolyn is like the most Welsh name in the world.
Yeah.
I mean, you do that, but then I have to listen to Bob make fun of you and your sheep shagging all week, every Tuesday, for 3 hours every Tuesday.
No, yes. It's okay. Someone else will just make feet jokes, and then we'll just make fun of them for the rest of the year.
Are you volunteering?
No, I'm not. I'm really not.
That was a support character, thankfully. So somehow that makes it better. You monsters.
Well, you see, the problem here is the support characters are going to be in every episode. We might not use them in every episode, but they'll be there, which means like you're
taking up a crew slot every time you made fun of them. It's like, oh, okay, well, I guess they're involved in this episode, so.
Yeah, that would have been really good, actually.
God. Except that incentivizes them being brought up, but.
I feel like I have a scientist that accidentally became an EXO.
I see that Soloris is a Sung type because they can't use contractions.
Wait, did we make a mistake?
No.
Well, you used cannot instead of can't, but you put a space in between can and not. Which I guess is technically English, but it's
yes, that
weird.
Is English, not American English.
I think it's a very Vulcan thing to be anti-contractions.
I ain't sure that's the truth, Captain, but you do you.
Oh, God, are you going to do that voice for your Vulcan? Okay.
That would be amazing.
You should.
The GM is texting.
I
don't know how she
two Vulcans.
I didn't get the joke, so...
Who's trying to do like a Howdy Partner Western voice?
I call it maritime voice, thank you very much. We invented it first. Because we were the first ones off the boat.
The two humans are in the fucking sciences division, and everyone else is a Vulcan.
Yeah.
Hey, Andorian.
What's our we've got an Aurelian, 2 Vulcans, an Andorian, 2 humans?
Yeah.
Yeah, God, this is gonna be another abnormal game. I should have put a human.
What do you mean abnormal?
Well, I have a Vulcan buddy.
This is actually...
This is a good comp, honestly.
Yeah, well, okay. I just meant that we have 2 humans. It'll be fine. I just meant that sometimes if everyone's a wacky alien, there isn't really a baseline.
I would argue we only have 1 wacky alien. I think Aurelian counts as wacky alien. I don't think Vulcan and Andorian count quite as wacky alien.
They're normal aliens.
We were always going to have one.
Yeah.
Because,
I do feel like your third trait is that complication determination bait, because it's objectively not true.
It absolutely is not true. It is intentionally contradictory to say I can only support what is just, and also I work for the space military. I fully expect you to pick on me for that.
Oh, I mean, hey, embrace the absurdity of existence. That's a lovely value I've got. Smiley face.
Oh yeah, and in Vernie, I finally decided to actually play one of the weird races that I'm constantly going on about, instead of just making a supporting character and making it everyone else's problem.
Yeah. It's gonna happen sooner or later. Here we are. So do we only have the one scientist? The other two are all operations?
No, the operations specialist is supposed to be a catch-all enlisted right? Because they don't go to school for 4 years to be a science officer. They go to school for 2 years and learn how to work all of the sensors and do all of the operations tasks and do helm and stuff. So it
but they're yellow shirts.
They are yellow shirts. They work for you. They know how to use the sensors, but you couldn't call them science officers.
Yeah, I think you're probably
enlisted.
I mean, you and the doctor are the only ones in blue, I think. Though.
Is there anyone? The one corpsman.
Probably.
The one corpsman.
Oh, right, yeah.
The operations specialist could be blue shirts, but it's more likely they're not.
Yeah. No, I was just like,
see blue
wait,
we're in the background of TOS, so like that.
TOS.
Yeah, but and that would make sense if there was a full science department, like on a constitution, then yes.
Okay.
But we're debating over whether two specific people who are multidisciplined have, and it's not gold. It's blue or red.
Yeah.
Gold is command. There's only two
gold
people who get to wear gold on the shirt.
Gold is also con still in TOS.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
I forget that because when I think of con, I think of running around with no shirt and a saber, not.
Hey, we all focus on different things.
Speaking of, I stole that from a con officer. The science officer has fencing as a hobby.
Nice.
We run into issues with Twitch if a con officer does that though.
As long as I don't, never mind.
Don't encourage it.
I was wanting to know where that went almost. I was like,
I'm good. I'm not.
So if you don't make them as far as supports go, I will.
I might fuck around with it. Yeah,
okay.
I'm sure. Griffin and I can fuck around and figure something out with them.
Give them a good backstory. Give them a name. Love them so I can kill them and make you sad.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you said
I'll do it in a perfectly whimsical way, like a flower that shoots poison darts.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like, if all of those people in the engineering and security division aren't on like an 80% attrition rate throughout this year, this hasn't been a successful campaign.
I do love that. So even though engineering on the ship is low, I kind of went with the idea that for basically all of non-sail powered ships history, despite what the ship does, whether it's in the Navy, whether it's civilian, the engineers on the ship always outnumber the other people. And so most of the time, they're like 50% of the ship's crew. So I went with that, which means that y'all have the engineering department is entirely NPCs, and it's the largest one.
The one,
I mean,
The one thing I might point out real quick for supporting characters, in 2E, they have what's called supervisory characters. So if you, to have a more powerful version of support characters, the downside is to eat up 2 crew support. So
I feel like
we can have 2, I think we can have 2 supporting active at the same time, or 1 supervisory active.
I didn't know, where is the supervisory thing?
That is 147.
That's cool. I like that.
It's meant for games where you're a bunch of ensigns and you need a senior guy around, but it's also for like a real, like if it was a full position you were filling, like chief engineer. It's like, well, the chief engineer might be a supervisory character because you want them to have better stats than a just regular supporting character.
And that could also work if you're playing a campaign with not a lot of people in it, like you only have 3 players at the table. I would let them make supervisory supporting characters for the other roles because they're going to need it.
Well, the only person who qualifies for this is the chief engineer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's worth noting. Just,
and I would almost say that y'all should make the chief engineer as a supervisory character.
Well, hang on. We'll wait for Ensley.
Well, he's going to replace if he comes in, he replaces that guy anyway. Or he might.
No, actually, what I messaged him is that I would ask him to make a supporting character, and then y'all have that available and can use that character until he gets back. And when he gets back, he'll make the call. Does he want to keep that character and upgrade them to a playable character? So now that character was here the whole time and already has a little story, or he can swap them out if y'all made it like too niche and he doesn't like the direction it went.
Oh, okay.
But there's like a kind of a 50% chance or something that he makes a supporting character. Y'all play with it a bit before he gets here, and he likes what y'all did, so he just kind of develops it further.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But I don't know which one. He may not choose that he wants to be the chief engineer, right? He may decide he wants to be the corpsman or like a gunner's mate or something.
Yeah, a lame role, really.
No, he's probably going to make y'all triple down on security.
Yeah,
he's going to make Click's fucking great grandfather the engineer.
No,
he can't do that. Well, I guess the Xindi are like folded into the Federation now.
They're not. They haven't joined, but they're no longer hostile. They don't join until like the 24th century or something.
That'd be funny as shit.
Also, if they live for like a couple
of years, so many more generations removed.
It would be great to the power of hundreds.
Yeah, I didn't feel like saying it that many times.
I know, obviously, I was just elaborating.
Yeah, like I think Xindi insectoids live like around 12 to 16 years.
Yeah,
they don't live a long time. But they live more than a couple years.
I can imagine in common parlance, they say, "I'm the great. That was my great grandfather, so and so." Really, that's it? Well, you really know how far back they were? Yeah. Well, they were. It's like, oh, it's like in insectoid. It's a lot easier to say. It's hard to translate into English because you guys don't count generations like that, whereas we do. Why? Because it happens a lot. You want to be able to say things quickly.
It might be like
great times 3.
My numbered ancestor, like my
4th
ancestor or something, rather than.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just gonna assume that most of the time, the doctor is just like standing around on the bridge,
like McCoy.
Yeah, giving unasked for input.
So
glad you came back from your trip.
Well, okay, that's not a condemnation of
God.
Ben. That's a statement on McCoy just being around to say things.
I think against Spock, yes, most of that advice was unwanted, but I think against Kirk, most of that advice was wanted. Not all of it, but most of it.
Nothing else entertaining.
Does that mean we keep crackers on the bridge?
I mean, I think McCoy counts as one.
So are we still discussing the
It's making a bird joke.
Are we still discussing the stations or
No, it's just that there's not a medical console, right? Unless you like override. There's a multi-role console which you could use to do that.
That's fine.
Some medical tasks from the bridge, but there's not a dedicated station for you on the bridge. So I was just
Yeah,
asking in general.
Yeah, that's not what I'm worried about. More so, I just want to make sure my sheet is okay and that I haven't missed anything else. The only thing
there's so much to go over on your sheets that I probably won't be able to say yes, your sheet is 100% good till next week. But
until we try to use them.
Every time I've looked at it, I've found something new.
Yeah,
yours I think is fine. I mean, you have.
you
need to mark board games as a hobby, just to call that out.
Oh, yeah.
Pastime.
Pastime.
Do we leave that under focuses, or where do we put it?
Yeah, you put it under focus.
Okay.
It's not truly a focus. It's a focus if I think it's relevant. So you're not always guaranteed to be able to call on it.
Gotcha.
So
you can kind of see it as a focus.
Yeah. Yeah. The only thing I don't know yet is I just need to know what like base weapon damages are and how those.
A shooting doctor.
Well, all of us shoot at some point.
Well, yeah, all of us can shoot and all of us can punch, but the question is,
how good are we?
I feel like just knowing the security officer, that wasn't just like an observation, that was a philosophical statement. you just took a long draw from a pipe and then said that.
Yeah.
We all shoot.
So, quick glance, everything has a severity that it does, and that's whatever the weapon is, that's the severity it does, unless you have some special talent that increases severity of the injury. So, like,
and there's different injury types.
Like a type 2 is a type 2 severity 4, and it can stun and deadly injury, things like that.
Okay, so
what do I need to put into the box?
On your sheet, what you're gonna do? Let me find your sheet. So, you're gonna add a weapon like you normally would.
I mean, I've added. So because I did the character generator, I have the 2 weapons. I just need to know if I've done the. I just need to know.
So
what,
counts
are.
The damage is just the severity, which in the case of a phaser type 1 is 3. And it can do stun, deadly. You have that right. Charge hidden. It's one-handed and it's standard issue, so that's fine. Unarmed strike should be 2 severity.
2.
Yeah. Is that still plus your security, or is it just?
That determines how difficult it is to avoid the injury.
Okay.
Either you're hit by the weapon or you're not, sort of thing. It doesn't add because there's no challenge dice, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the more you're hit by something, when you're hit by a high severity thing, it costs more for the person to stay up.
I'm sure this will make more sense to me once I play with it.
Okay, I'll just go with information science. There we go.
All right, guys.
Doesn't have a fancy name, unfortunately.
I'm gonna head off if we don't need anything else.
Yeah, I'll catch you next week. Well, yes. Make a supporting character to in the intervening time.
Okay, I can do that.
Sometime have a read over the mission log, because unless you ask differently, you're the only one who can see it. And that's the only place I'm going to put directives. So that's to say that, right, you get orders from Starfleet. It's up to you to pass that along, which may just be you posting them in Discord. And to me, that would say like you're being fully upfront with all the other officers, but you don't have to do that. And
depends on the order, really.
And that is where I'll put the captain's log, and you are not expected to just read it as written. I kind of expect, if anything, to put it in your own, especially since I didn't know your name when I wrote it. So right now, I have you listed as Captain XYZ in the log. So
yeah, I will put in enough effort to rewrite it in my own words. That's it.
Okay. It's Captain XYZ of the starship.
Yeah, we'll catch you next week.
All right, see you guys later.
See you.
Yeah. I should also head off. I'm still sort of recovering from jet lag.
All right. Have sleep.
Hate the both of them. Oh wait, I'm still on.
You're so good at this.
But yeah, in the stream too, I've updated because we changed our nicknames in the 10th. They're also being displayed here as well. So we have our names. You'll know which person is which because now we're different characters entirely than we were in Alan X. All our names are different.
Mm-hmm. I think we've mostly all changed those. Yeah.
Yeah, conflicts work a little different. It's just straight up. When you do a check, it's like there's a roll that you do, and then it's like, okay, well, you hit them. They're now about to be injured. If they want to stay up, they have to spend a bunch to stay standing, sort of thing. So there's no like security plus severity or something like that. Just what did you hit your? It's like I hit him. Okay, what'd you hit him with? It's between Did I punch him with my fist or did I stab him with a sword? It's like, okay, well, those are different severities. Unless, like me, my character has applied force, so my stuff actually hits. My unarms, my melee stuff in general hits harder than it normally would. So it's kind of combat works very differently in 2E. Well, not.
Oh,
it's still 2D20, but it's not 2D20 Star Trek. It's borrowing from other things, I feel.
Yeah. I gave myself hand-to-hand combat as a focus, but other than that, I'm not really interacting with weaponry.
I don't have a combat focus yet, other than, fencing as a pastime, but I'll get one later.
Mm-hmm.
Have a security of 3, though.
Same.
We have a pretty high security team overall.
Yeah.
It's like, you go to my science officer.
I have Con 5, security 3, 2s, and everything else.
Command and science 4.
So, I guess it feels like it's a little weird. Avoiding the injury doesn't mean it was like a glancing blow or something. It means you like dodged the attack or like found a way to avoid getting injury. Because my understanding is if you avoid the injury, you don't get the trait related to the injury.
Yeah, at first that's what would happen. If you avoided injury, technically you're supposed to get a trait that said you got dinged somehow. Something happened.
But here, if you get hit, you get a trait that is that injury.
Yeah.
And yeah, you go down after one hit unless you avoid, and if you avoid, now you're going against the stress track. It's not once you hit something on the stress track, you get injured. It's you get injured unless you start taking stress damage. And I don't know what happens if your stress gets maxed out. It may just mean that you're not. Okay. Yes. Very technical sense.
Oh, okay.
I think that'll really help out on content for the doctor, being that the default assumption, unless you take extra effort, is that you have a trait with an injury on it.
Mm-hmm.
Especially for like minor supporting characters who probably don't avoid, right? They now have a specific injury that was done to them, rather than just saying they have a non-lethal injury or something.
Yeah, I'm definitely interested to play with the system and get a feel for it.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's one of those. It's similar enough that there's going to be some like uncanny valley stuff. Like, hold on a second. But
yeah, I will say I am almost a little scared to put y'all up against a scale 3 or a scale 4 until I get a sense for how good I want to say Gryffindor. How good Gwendon and the tactical officer and the chief are, because
that's why you have a take on like some little rinky-dink like scale 2 pirate or something like that, something that's our size. It's like, do we crush it or is it an even fight?
I mean, also we could always do some simulator runs, like.
That's true. That's one way. That's
well,
if the crew is new to the ship too, it would make sense to do some exercises.
Yeah, I think some of that will end up being background, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
The first episode, as it starts right now, is going to be like one entry log just to represent that the ship now has a crew and is not. It's out of trials and it's finished being towed here and whatever, but really, it's followed by another captain's log that's like, we're like now into our mission. I don't plan on having a scene where you all meet each other because
I figured we were already like on the ship.
Yeah, y'all have been working with each other for a few weeks.
Okay. Still pretty new to the ship and the crew though.
I don't see how you die in this. You get defeated, missions fail.
Maybe there isn't a mechanic specifically for that. It's just like
you get injured, fail repeatedly. Like, hey, if your ship gets blown up and everything else,
narratively, you died right now.
Yeah. Or, well, yes, you're alive, crewman, and you're in an escape pod, but I'm not sure how helpful that is to your current situation of stopping the planet from being bombed. Oh. Yay, we live, but we also get to see our failure.
Yeah.
I feel like I did read somewhere that death is not supposed to be a thing that is an explicit, like, the rules determine when it happens. It's they wanted it to be a
narrative choice.
That makes more sense.
An agreement with the GM.
That makes more sense for Star Trek, honestly, in some ways. Like it
feels.
I
mean, it is true that main characters don't really die unless their contracts can't be negotiated.
Yeah.
I mean, it's to the top of my mind, with the exception of Spock in The Wrath of Khan, which really is like a narrative moment. The
I imagine
two big ones are Ensign Ro and not Ro. The one who grew up on the planet of sexual assault and tunnels.
Tasha Yar.
Tasha Yar.
I hate that gave me the answer.
Yeah, I hate that that's true, but that's where she grew up, and it's terrible. And then her and Jadzia Dax, right, are the only two that I can really think of as main characters that died during the run of the TV show.
Yep.
I think as well, it's one like, if you get a bunch of injuries, like, well, hooray, I'm not dead. It's like, yes, but you're so injured. Honestly, your choice even if narratively the GM doesn't kill you, you're like, we need to retreat, or we need to retreat somewhere where we can patch up our wounds before we can do anything.
Oh no, got it right here. Deadly attacks are those which inflict serious harm upon the target, which might result in death. If you choose to make a deadly attack, add 1 threat. While you have 1 or more deadly injuries and are defeated, you are dying. And you will die at the end of the scene if you do not receive medical attention.
Okay, it's like similar to
page 292.
Where it's like it's pretty hard to just flat up die.
It's hard to accidentally do it.
Yeah, I mean, so if you end up fighting Klingons, you probably will die unless someone helps you before the end of the scene, because they only use deadly weapons.
Yeah.
But against people who use phasers, you're probably not gonna die unless they want to kill you. And I think a big part of it is like it doesn't matter how many deadly injuries you get. The number doesn't cause you to die. The thing that causes you to die is you have those unmitigated at the end of the scene.
Oh, there it is. Yeah.
So it right, an NPC can't do something that kills you, right? It's more like the players have too many plates to spin, and you kind of either negotiate with the other players or negotiate with the GM that this is what's going to happen.
Or the GM just spins threat to end the scene as soon as you go down with deadly.
Actually,
that's something they can do.
It actually specifically calls out not to do that exact thing. It says in the section for causing reversals that it should be to like cause an unexpected or like negative scenario or whatever, but not to do it to kill characters because that's not fun. It's pretty much what it says.
Yeah.
No, that's fair. When I said it, I was like, that'd be such a dick thing to do, but technically, and the game's like already like, no, that's a dick move, bro.
Don't do that. Yeah.
So, what category of fuckery do you think that should fall under? Regular, advanced, or super advanced?
I'd say that's like advanced fuckery, but not super.
No, that's basic level because the book says not to do it. Right. The advanced and super advanced, right? That's doing it where the book doesn't actually call it out, but everybody knows that you shouldn't have done it.
True.
So basically, an awful plot, aka blowing up another star.
Hey, that never kills any of the main characters. That just kills NPCs and countless biospheres, and then centuries later of suffering and turmoil because supernovas are super dangerous to the entirety of a sector.
I can't wait for the entirety of the Hellenic Station population just to be like all the free information sphere to be wiped out by these countless supernovas going off in their general vicinity.
Well, that's why they all just QSD away. They're just like, you know what, we're going to QSD the station. Why? Well, see, we detected on long range sensors somehow. We're not sure how, because astronomically speaking, that doesn't naturally occur. There's 50 different supernovas that are all overlapping on each other, heading our way. So we should probably leave.
Doesn't mean the planets can't move. The station can. The station will be fine. The planets wouldn't be.
Well, that's how you do the arc thing. You just make big arcs that you stuff everyone on.
Oh yeah, true.
The thing is, in a place that in a like a universe that's faster than light travel and like sensor technology that also works that way, you can see a supernova coming significantly before it impacts you.
But could you imagine? It's like, oh, 1 or 2 supernovas. Like, look, we raised some shields, we weathered the storm. No, sir. There's like 50. 50? How did 50 go off in such close proximity to each other that they're overlapping? Yeah. Don't worry, that's just the first wave. Meanwhile, the lower half of the rimward section of Shackleton is just it's just devastated. There's nothing. There's no planets. It's just one massive nebula. It's like, no wonder the Shackleton's so screwed up. People keep blowing stars up in here.
Yeah. Should we be starting to make supporting characters, or do you want to?
No, or rather, no, I would love to have them all made before the first episode.
Cool. The other thing I want to ask, I guess, on that note is which things should we steer away from making supporting characters for in the interest of Ensley having first crack at?
Oh, I'm gonna list to him all the things that are not player characters, and he'll end up overriding. So the worst thing that happens is you make a supporting character, and then he decides he would like to play that, and I let him overwrite what you put. But
oh no, we've got a backup support character for later.
Right.
Paul, do you want me to do both Gunner's mates, or do you want to do one of them?
if you've got an idea for two, go for it.
I could do both. I just didn't know if you wanted to do one or not. Because you're also the other person with 5 security, so I didn't know if you wanted to make one or not.
Well, it's a case of I'd probably make one in a different division because I'm less likely to play my guy and a corpsman at the same time.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I was going for because I was starting to draw up a security personnel for kind of that idea of it's like, oh, if I have to land the ship and stay with the ship, I can still
make an engine
send off someone.
Operation.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was just going to take one of the lower engineers and just make a transporter chief.
I've just made a Tellarite security.
Well, if you make a one of the engineers a transporter officer, well, he could only be a transporter chief if you did one of the chief engine men. But,
no, but you know what I mean. It'll be like just a transport specialist.
No, what I was saying is you could change his rank, right? His rate, the thing y'all call him, would probably be the chief transporter, transporter chief, right? It wouldn't be his job; it would be his rate. He wouldn't be an engine man. He would fall under the engineering department, but like only because he doesn't fit anywhere else.
Right.
Is there anything you want me to leave for the stream? Because I'm thinking of closing it out for now.
No, go ahead. Yeah.
So, for everyone watching out there, for now, we are, as you saw, we made all our characters. There's lots of support characters we still have to make, so those will probably be made for next time. One hopes. We'll have another person coming by, hopefully, soon. We'll see Inslee once again, terrorizing us once more. New ships, new adventures, and I would tell you what's happening next time, but I actually don't know. So we'll just have to be surprised together. For everyone watching out there, thank you very much for watching. And for those of you playing and for you running Winchester, thank you very much. And hopefully we'll see you all next time. Bye. Yeah, I'm thinking at some point I'll probably have... And then I'll probably have I might think of overlays or do music things later. I don't know. I'll spend the week postulating with Father if we want to run it like this. Because, actual plays can be this straightforward. If you weren't dead for it. Usually
We're
filler
good at
like that.
filling air.
Yeah, exactly.